Okay. Check one, check two. I'm just doing a bit of a microphone check. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late on the startup. Just working through some technical issues. Let me know. Someone says you're getting on Joe Rogan. All right, let me know, first of all, guys, if you can hear me okay. That's really quite important. I need to know that you guys can hear me. Need to know that we're audible. Need to know that we are good to go. Put a 1 in the chat. If you okay, we can hear you good. That'll do. Yeah, how you doing, sir? Yeah, is very real. Chiquita speaks. RJ McKenzie, Petrina, Chematology, censored. Thank you guys for joining. Darius G. We're gonna have a very casual live stream today. Partly because we're in the run up to Christmas, and I'm sure you guys, like me, haven't got huge amounts of energy. But I thought also I wanted to go live, but hadn't managed to prepare anything in depth or heavy. So we're going to do it really light today. This is actually a live stream that I've wanted to do with you guys for a while because I thought it would just be quite a chill subject, to be totally honest with you. That's kind of what I wanted to do. So this is going to be, like I said, a relatively chill approach, just kind of going through my, well, I say my, but kind of just posts that for one reason or another I thought would be interesting to discuss on Insta. I've kind of just got into the habit now of whenever I'm just on social media, particularly Instagram, and stuff comes up that would make a good discussion point, I just copy the link into this document that's just basically full of links. And I think, hey, this would be really cool to just show this to the community and to get some feedback on it and just have a little bit of a mashup about it. So that's basically what we're going to do today. It's not going to be too heavy, but it might be interesting. I'm going to pin the link to the StreamYard for anyone who wants to join me for this pre-Christmas evening / tea time chat, depending where you're joining me from. Like I said, we're going to keep it relatively light and censored. I will check my email. I think I have checked it, to be honest with you. So I think I've seen what you've sent, but excuse me if I've got a little bit of a brain fog. I literally just came back from the Vatican. I went to Vatican City to see some artifacts and some museums. So I'll be taking you guys through a live stream of some of the stuff that I saw there. That was pretty wild, pretty intense as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of the stuff that I saw there with you guys. But yeah, I was there for a few days, so I'm a tiny bit out of sorts. Sitting here drinking my tea. I'm a tiny bit out of sorts. So yeah, do forgive me. So that's a little bit of an intro as to what we're going to be doing today. And I don't think we need much more than that. Did I see the Pope? I didn't see the Pope. I didn't want to see the Pope, in all fairness. I just didn't want to. I didn't make any effort towards the seeing or the viewing of the Pope. I literally went there to see artifacts and architecture, and it is, for all intents and purposes, a very impressive little stretch. Vatican City, it's a very impressive little stretch. And yeah, there's not much more to say than that. There's a lot going on there, and depending how deep you are into European history, it will hit you in different ways. So yeah, for me personally, it hit some of the stuff I saw, hit me in a big way, and then other stuff was. But hey, if you can go, and if you're blessed with the opportunity, do go. A lot of people don't have Vatican City on the. I didn't until I saw something on some social media saying I saw someone who went there, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize Vatican was a place that people kind of just go to. So yeah, Is this clickbait? Yeah. Well, no, it's not clickbait. It's Insta. I went to Insta and some wild stuff came up. So I think it's not clickbait. I think I'm being pretty transparent. Maybe I've just made it sound more tempting than it is, because you guys were hoping for maybe one one thing that I saw on Insta, whereas I'm going to give you a bucket load. So anyway, yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look through. I've got some. These are pre-prepared links that I've got. So yeah, let's just jump in. I got RJ. I'm gonna just quickly add RJ to the chat. Feel free to unmute your mic when you're ready. Actually, maybe I need to do it for you. Yeah, you need to unmute your mic.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My family's getting ready for the holiday season as well. I just finished school, on my exams for the semester, so I'm just chilling.
Excellent stuff. Really good. Excellent stuff, man. Yeah, it's nice to be off with the family. So yeah, I hope you're having a good one and taking your well-earned rest. And when you get back, you continue to press forth and become the young scholar that you're becoming. So yeah, anyway, nice to have you on. I think on that note, I'm gonna start. Okay, we're gonna have a look through some of these links. Like I said, it's gonna be relatively lightweight. I can't remember. I've literally got about, I'm gonna say, in the region of about 70 links. We're not gonna go through anywhere near that. And I can't remember for the life of me what I saved. So some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is gonna shock me because I can't, and I probably won't remember why I saved it or why I thought it would be a good idea for us to discuss. But here you go, here we are. You know what we gotta do. We're here now. So let me just quickly get it all working. This will take me about 2 seconds. Okay, it looks like we're starting off with some light humor from what I can see. Now, the main thing that I want to make sure I can do is control what's going on here. Okay, I can pause. And I should be able to rewind by refreshing there. Okay, we're making some good progress here. All right, and then the last thing I need to do is share the screen probably. Saw your naughty folder, bro. My naughty folder. Am I showing stuff on the screen that I shouldn't be showing? I hope not. That's not good. That's not good. See, you guys see all my links and my keep and my stuff like that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get cracking. All right. Let me just make sure that I've got this set up correctly. And I'm just going to quickly, because to get the audio, I've got to do one little change in the way I'm sharing. So I'm going to, 1 second. This will take me 1 second, guys. Got to stop presenting. Boom. And I need to present again, but I've got to present the window. Otherwise the audio doesn't work. See, I figured that out. I figured out why I couldn't live stream audio. So now that should be sorted. So I'm going to share. Okay, no. Yeah, stop screen. Okay, there we go. Present. Share screen. Window. This window. And share audio. Share a tab or screen instead. Okay, screen then. Screen. This screen. Also share system audio on. And share. Boom. So now it should be sharing the screen. And actually, we're going to do a quick check here, guys. Let me know that you can hear the audio when this plays. Okay, it's on mute, so no one can hear it. Let's bring it back.
Pillar of fire, my lord.
No, not yet.
I'm going to refresh. And I'm going to hit unmute.
Shall I send the pillar of fire, my lord?
No, not yet. They don't even have Google yet. So who doesn't have Google yet?
My lord, the humans seem to have created a depiction.
Michael. Yeah, let me.
Hey, son, remember the humans?
You mean the ones I literally died for like a week ago?
Yeah, same batch, but it's been a few hundred years their time. And remember how forgetful they are, you know, that we were like, follow these commandments. And they were like, no, but give us bread and unlimited women. And we were like, no, you rascals.
And then they made a golden cow and you were going to destroy them all. Yeah.
But I didn't. You remember? I had compassion and understanding, things like that.
Dad, where are you going with this?
So they drew you a picture.
Oh, they did. That's pretty cool. It's nice to be appreciated, you know?
And I think they did their best.
Well, let me see.
Okay. But no pillars of fire, okay?
Dad, that's your thing, not mine. Who is this white man?
It's you.
I'm sending another flood.
No. Hey, we said we wouldn't do that again.
Then pillar of fire. What is this?
Hey, no pillars of fire until Revelation, except mini ones in California until the 21st century. You know that.
They didn't even get my curl pattern right. It says what I look like in the book.
Yeah, but that's in Revelation, and not many people make it to the end, to be honest.
I thought you said it was the most popular book they had.
Oh yeah, everyone has it, but they don't read it.
Aren't you supposed to be the angry one?
I mean, they didn't turn me into a white man.
Yeah, I'm pulling up.
No. You can't. See, this is what the enemy wants. He's trying to get under your skin.
All right, fine. But when I hear that trumpet, I'm going off.
Hey, you finna go crazy. I mean, his hair is...
I don't know why I saved that because it made me laugh. I think that's quite a good skit. Yeah, no, nothing major to unpack there. I got it's very real up in the chat. My guy, what's going on? How
Can
you
you hear
doing,
me,
man?
bro?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
What's up, bro? Nice to be here.
Did you catch the skit?
I just catched it, bro. I had to join after seeing that, bro. It's because it's crazy, because bro, like, oh man, it's infuriating, because like, if you read the Bible, you don't even have to go all the way to Revelation to figure out that Jesus is a black man. Like, you have like 5 instances within the Bible where the Israelites and the Egyptians are mistaken for each other. And obviously, through your research, we know that the Egyptians are black. And if the Israelites are constantly mistaken for Egyptians, then you just do 1 + 1 = 2. So it's like, how are they going to be? How what's it called? Israelites with their pale white skin in the Egyptian sun for how many years? How does that make sense? Makes no sense to me. So like, you know, this skit, like, it's right on the, what's it called? Spot on. It's spot on, bro.
See, I always like that. I always appreciate when you can push a message, but you can do it with humor. I quite like that. That's why I like this skit, because it's kind of like it's lightly, how you doing, chematology? It's lightly making fun of the stupidity of obviously those depictions of Jesus, but it's doing it in a way that I saw this and I was cracking up. I have to say, I watched the skit a few times. Chematology, introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, Hotep. What should I say? Like,
how are you, man? Good to have you on.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah,
what did you think of the skit?
Of what?
The skit, the comedy skit we just played. Did you catch it?
Yeah, I'm catching it. It's funny, man. It's funny. Historical whitewash.
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's funny because actually, like I was saying, I just came from the Vatican, which is, as you can imagine, just that's where a lot of this stuff you can see. Obviously, Sistine Chapel, the Basilica, St. Peter's Basilica, and obviously you see all of these depictions, these incorrect depictions of people. One of the things I'm going to be doing, you're going to see in my live stream, is you guys know that when I go to museums, or you may or may not know, but when I go to museums, I always get loads and loads of pictures, and I normally follow it with a live stream. So I've done that at the Louvre, I've done that at the British Museum, I've done that at the which was the one in Germany, in Berlin.
You were in Germany?
Berlin, yeah. I went to the Neues Museum. So I've done live streams for all of the stuff I've done now, and occasionally I'll just kind of, like, most of the time we'll just show you pictures and show you how they've maybe altered statues and altered artifacts. Let me tell you something that shocked me. What if I told you, when I was in the Vatican Museum, every single statue, and we're not talking about Egypt here, we're talking about Rome, or either Rome or the Holy Roman Empire, which we're led to believe are 2 different things. But yeah, every single statue, not one, not two, but every single statue had a nose replacement.
Of course.
Not
Of
just the
course.
also not just the statues, but the ones they do in Rome are really, really good. So, but you can see them all, and I'll show you the images. I'm not going to show you any now, but you'll see them when I do the live stream. But not just the statues, but even things like the kind of Roman bas reliefs and the side carvings. Like every opportunity, every single time there was some kind of a depiction of someone, it wasn't the original nose, and I was like, they doing this in Rome as well. This is wild. I wasn't expecting to see that in Rome. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, maybe we're surrounded by a bunch of manufactured artifacts anyway. But no, this is a practice that is what we see in Kemet or in ancient Egypt is actually probably the tail end of what they've been doing. They've been doing this in Europe for a long time, which was a wild.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
it's in England too. Like you check out some English statues of like what's it called, monarchs and stuff like that, and you would see that they have chipped off noses, chipped off lips. Sometimes, like it's everywhere. They haven't missed anything. They have literally not missed anything. They go for everything.
It's wild. It's wild. I wish I could show you something. In fact, I'm gonna save that for the live stream because that live stream will be good. But people are gonna be really shocked when they realize, nothing is sacred. It was really sad because there's a really nice statue of Thuya, mother of Queen T. Beautiful statue, which I always thought looked African anyway. It's quite a famous one. And I didn't know the nose had been replaced in it. So similar to like Catherine Enthroned, when I was kind of like, oh, Caffrey's statue is amazing. This is a brilliant statue. And even though they had replaced it with a pointy nose, to me, it still looked like an African because he's got all those really strong African features. Like he's got a really broad face and everything. But then you look at the nose and the nose has been replaced. And then you look at his other statues and you realize, hey, this is nothing like the noses in his other statues. And they did that with Thuya as well. They've got this statue of Thuya, which I'm going to share with you guys. You're going to be like, whoa, it's going to knock you off your feet, man. I'm telling you. It's really big. Let me move on. I'm going to move on to the next one. Like I said, guys, I don't know or can't remember what I've done here. So we'll just have to roll with me.
King, did you see any Black Madonnas in Rome? Because they have a lot of Black Madonna, those statues where they depict the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus as black. Did you see any when you were in Rome?
Yes, there were a couple of Black Madonnas. There were a few just like black statues of like but it's weird because the statue would be black and then the clothing would be gilded.
Right.
So there's clearly sometimes these black statues or these black representations weren't depicting people with necessarily an African look. Sometimes they look straight up European.
Right.
So it was difficult to find. But yeah, I even found myself in a different basilica. I think it was called St. Mary's Basilica in Vatican City as well. And that had a Black Madonna in it. So there's a few, there's a bit going on, man. There's a bit going on there. I wish I only spent 1.5 days in Vatican City. Even though I was out there for a few days, I didn't get to spend as much in Rome for a few days. I didn't spend as much time as I would have liked. I think I'll go back though, because it's a relatively short flight and it's easy to make. And I think I'll do a bit more because there's more to visit. 1 day, even 2 days isn't enough. I think if you've got to hit Rome, you really need, you need to take the full 5 days doing only Roman artifacts. Otherwise, you're gonna miss quite a bit,
Right.
Yeah. Let's carry on. I can't remember what's on this one, but I'm gonna play it.
Stuff they actually pay us more when we rap about more ignorant stuff, so I make sure I even align and come talk on stages like this.
Man, I was flooded with millions of dollars from the time I was 16, and I woke up one morning and I was like, damn, they got me. Man, look at the shit I spoke about. Look at the shit I put in these people's ears. Man, I feel very wrong about a lot of things. How many lives I actually am responsible for when it comes to my music? How many kids and people have gotten in the car or put this shit in their ears and actually hurt someone? And now I'm sitting back like, damn.
It's weird. I've been having these weird feelings lately, and that's kind of why I didn't want to do this song Shake It or like any drill songs because it's like these songs are activating like these demons that I killed. I don't want to be that girl anymore. Like, I just want to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be that old Cardi anymore.
I want to be a city girl.
She ain't gonna be no city girl.
So Summer ain't allowed to be no city girl?
No. I want her raised totally different. Like, you know, I don't even want her to even see the light of day like that. Like, I really want her to just be like, you know, like level-headed, a schoolgirl and just on a whole nother wave.
We get paid to rap.
All right, so that one hit me hard. You guys should probably know by now I'm a little bit of a hip hop head. Always have been. And this is something I noted for a long time. For those of you who might think this is a bit of a random thing to put in, but this one hit me hard because I noted from a long time how much damage someone was just sitting in the stage and they left. I was about to add them. I noticed for a long time how damaging the impact of music was on the Black community, and I realized from a very, very young age that it was an agenda and it wasn't an accident. It wasn't something that literally just happened. I felt like it was very real, and I feel like it's a tool of mind control. But I don't know how you guys feel about that. But it's something that has always been very real to me, and something that I feel like is very deliberate in terms of the way the music industry is controlled. Because when I grew up in the 90s, the hip hop and rap was actually, people don't realize, before kind of like it turned into this weird, really kind of demonic kind of gangster rap that we have now. It was actually very empowering. I got a lot of my a lot of what makes me me at the moment, it came from that entire culture of the 90s that I kind of grew up in, where we had kind of like, we had the Black movie industry, and we had a positive Black music industry, and we had we just had, I don't know, there's just a lot of empowerment, and I feel like it's been deliberately infiltrated and used as a tool to kind of derail the progress of Black people. But I don't know what people's thoughts are. I'd like to get some feedback from people.
Well, my thoughts on this is that with terms of the music, I was born in 2002, so I kind of I wasn't born or grew up at the time when rap was conscious necessarily, but I have heard like the song "Fight the Power" by Public Enemy, and that song is powerful, I must admit. I think that there is a deliberate agenda with this whole gangster rap thing, because at first, like in the 80s with Ice Cube, when they were like calling out the police brutality and stuff like that was needed, you know, especially at that time, and especially going on today. But I think that type of music has flipped it on its own head, and now it's kind of glorifying gang culture, and then, you know, drill music is popular, and
Drill's garbage.
Yeah,
I mean, drill started in the UK, and I refuse to engage in that music because to me it's just garbage. You could see the agenda. It's like the UK Black music industry is never supported, but when they finally had this music that was about nothing else than Black people killing each other, and let's keep it straight, that's what drill music is about. And I always hear this kind of argument from, particularly, this is coming from the UK side now, and I'll challenge people when they make that kind of music, or when they hear or even try to listen to that kind of music, and I'll say things like, this is not good. Like, why are you always rapping about this? And the argument you always get is, oh, well, it's just real, isn't it? Like, it's just real. We're just being real out here. Yeah, it was just real. And it's like, okay, cool. Like,
agree.
If it's real, talk about everything that's real, innit?
I think what it is,
talk about everything that's real. Talk about fear, that's real. Talk about being persecuted, that's real. Talk about all of these other things. Talk about rejection. Nah, you just want to talk about the part where you're killing another Black man. That ain't being real. That's selective. That's called selective realness. Yeah, and I ain't here for that. You're not being real. Yeah, you're doing what you think is gonna be received, and you don't care about the kind of listen to the way these rappers are talking. You don't care about the kind of impact this is going to have on our community. That's what really pissed me off. So on. Carry on.
I think it's like what it is. It's a self-fueling fire. Like people make the argument that it's the music is an expression of their environment. Like you said, you know, it's real life. But at the same time, that same music perpetuates the killings and the stabbings and all the, you know, the crime that happens. So like it's a self-fueling. Like only it's like, okay, they want to create some artistic expression to like get out of the hood or whatever, get out of the situation they're in, but yet they still contribute to the same problem that they're trying to escape from. So it's like it's self-perpetuating. Like it keeps going on and on and on. And like you know, it's sad. Like the video you were just playing right now, I don't know. I don't really feel sorry for any of those guys who are like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't like. They know exactly what they're doing. They're self-aware. They know that they're contributing to the problem. With that young Miami that you just played, that saying that she doesn't want her daughter to be like her. Like, if you don't want your daughter to be like that, why is that all you're pushing to the
why
problem?
are you making other women's daughters be like that? Why are you trying to make everyone else's daughter be like that?
You know,
but then they're getting paid, and this is the thing. I've met loads of people in the UK music industry. I was quite close to it for a few years, and the one of the reasons I didn't stay in the UK music industry is because I think, and I'm going to be really frank here, I think the quality of character of the people in that industry is just the pits. I can't rate anybody who has anyone who has no care about like the kind of impact their words are having on the community, and all they care about is fame, and they're willing to sell out at the drop of a dime. I haven't got any energy for those kind of people. That's just me being totally real with you. Like I haven't got time. If you ain't got no self-respect and you're willing to do anything for fame, and then so, oh, well, we got to do that to make it. It's like, no, you have to draw a line. There has to be a standard that you're gonna say I'm not gonna cross, because otherwise you just do anything. You know what I mean? It's like the whole Dave Chappelle put you in a dress kind of talk. You know, people don't realize like this is
when it comes
this
to
happens in every industry. You know,
when it comes to like oh, by the way, my name's Kwame. You know, I've been watching your streams for a while now. I'm African, but I'm from the U.S., specifically like Maryland, the D.C. area, so Washington D.C. You know, when it comes to hip hop, I feel like one thing, because I'm kind of a hip hop head too. One thing that I feel like a lot of people are missing is that most, you know, I think y'all know this, that most, you know, music genres were invented by Black folk, you know, and a genre, especially hip hop, can only be as big as it is because white people are tuning in. You know, the reason, you know, hip hop was so conscious back in the day, even though it's talking about kind of the same things, is because hip hop was still kind of being made for Black people. And you have to understand these stories of Black people stabbing each other and killing each other and doing, you know, ignorant stuff. It's a good story for the white people to listen to. You know, they need a good story. And, you know, for them, a good story is struggle. You know what I mean? And a lot of these rappers, they think that's what they got to do to, you know, and I kind of disagree, because, you know, I understand why they say they don't want to do this no more, because they realize that who they're making the music for is not people like them. Because, you know, I've met people who are from, you know, I'm not from the hood or whatever, but I know people who are from the hood, at least where I'm from. And they don't really listen to these guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, because these big rappers don't make music for people like them. They're making it for the white audience because they want a good story. You know what I mean?
I think there's a bit of both though. I think there's a bit of both, because people can say they're not affected, or like, I don't know, sometimes you meet people and they act as though, I know quite a few people who are quote unquote gangsters or whatever. Yeah, most Black people have them in their circle somewhere down the line. So let's be real. You know, if you grow up in the UK, small circle. So I know quite a few people who, you know, obviously lived criminal lives or whatever. And to say that they're entirely unaffected by the music, I don't think that's true. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of what people do is perpetuation of the environment around them. Do you understand? And that environment is fueled by many things. you know. And one of them, particularly in the UK, I can speak for myself, particularly in the UK, growing up, you are very much influenced. People do a lot for the sake of being rated by their friends. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Rated by their friends, being, you know, they to call it, you know, getting your stripes or
There's
whatever.
a lot of ego out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of ego, and there's a lot of self-hate as well. And that's another thing in the UK. See, a gangster, a black man who's a gangster, he ain't got negative energy for no one but other black people. That's another reason I don't rate them. Do you understand what I was saying? Because he's only a gangster for a next black man. Yeah. You put a middle-aged white man in front of him, he suddenly ain't gangster anymore. He's got no gangster. All his gangsters falling out his feet. Yeah. You put anyone else in front of him, there's no more gangster. But you put a black man in front of him now, he's got the world. You know what I mean? He's ready to do anything. He's ready to take a life. And that's because when it comes down to the crux of it, they don't value themselves. That's where it comes from. Do you understand what I mean? It comes from a foundation of self-hate. They don't value themselves. They don't understand what they are. They don't understand who they are. They don't see themselves as being anything valuable. So it becomes very easy to do negative things to people who look like them.
Just like them.
100%.
I 100% agree with you, brother.
Like, I want to add this too. I don't know if anyone in the chat, in the discussion already said this, but also, like, here's the thing as well, is that in terms of music, like drill and stuff like that, when I see other non-blacks hear about, listen to that, they tend to love it. And the reason why is because, or particularly like white suburban kids, like that's, in some cases, that's like a fantasy to them. Like the hood basically is like an escape, you know, whereas for black folks, it touches us more because this is where white supremacy has put us. And even too, not just whites, even other non-black people are kind of like drill music. For instance, I have a friend who's Indian, right? He's from India, and he listens to drill music. And
love drill.
Yeah, he likes drill. And I was just observing. It's like, it's quite interesting how, like, and just seeing the music video and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, wow, like I'm not that type of black person that goes up there and stuff like that. So you could see how it hits the music differently for like, even for people who are not black compared to me, you know what I'm saying? So
and to add on to that, bro, there's like a whole culture of like almost seeing it as like a storyline, almost like an anime or something. Like you have these YouTubers like Trap Law Ross, you have these YouTubers like Brandon Buckingham, these white guys who go to the hood and interview rappers and like glorify what they're doing and like almost make it seem like it's a game. Like it's saddening because they see these lives as almost like a real life TV show. They see these killings and these you know, these raps and these disses as something to like to almost obsess over. Like they love hearing the drill, they love hearing the stories, they love hearing how one enemy kills another enemy, and it's like these are real human being lives. Like this is a product of obviously hundreds of years of black oppression, and even in the 21st century still seen as like some game, some joke, some TV show to be watched. You know, it's a shame. It is.
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard, there is a deeper conspiracy. I'm going to move on from this video in a minute because I didn't want this whole live stream to be about this. But there's a deeper conspiracy about how the music industry has been manufactured. And I think I might even have a video in here, but it talks about the origin of all these things. And I remember growing up, actually, there was like, there was a video called Dre Day, which people might remember. That's as back in the day when Dr. Dre and Eazy-E were having beef. But at the start of the video, you see Dr. Dre kind of go into a room and there's the record label execs and they're like, you know, sign your soul, I mean, your life. And then, so they basically do a Freudian slip where they make it clear that he's signing his life away. And then that's kind of like the start of the video. And there was a lot of this kind of like shift in the tone of music around that time, and that really was like the birth of like this kind of different kind of gangster rap. So that was kind of like the birth of Snoop Dogg and a lot of people who maybe a lot of people like younger people will call like heroes, but a lot of these people came out at a time, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, they kind of came out at a time that was a shift in the tone of hip hop. But that's a longer conversation anyway. So let's keep it moving, you know what I mean? Let's keep it moving. I'm gonna put the next one on, yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to unmute it because it mutes automatically.
Comes for you, why you gonna do it? Like nowhere to hide when judgment comes for you, cause it's gonna. I should have put the body, bleed this is something Charlie, and the wolf is last body, and I'm gonna miss judgment comes for you, why you gonna do it? Like
I think I was a bit drunk when I had this one. Well, not drunk, but sorry, I don't even know how that one got in there. You can see my immature sense of humor. Let me move on. Sorry. Do you guys know the song Crossroads? Because if you don't, then that joke. Okay, so that joke's gone well over your head. Then only people who know Crossroads.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah, if you know Crossroads, then that one would have made you laugh. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger singing Crossroads.
Never heard that before.
Sorry. Oh man, sorry. All right, let's move on. All right, something more mature, hopefully, for the next one. Let's go.
The chains I wore in Roots, I keep them over the hearth in my living room, right above my 12 Emmys. What is that about? I don't know. What is it to you? America first met me as Kunta Kinte, a young African kid who was kidnapped, tortured, refused his slave name. Then I read to their children and maintained the integrity of their favorite spaceship. Pretty soon, people began to think of me as safe. Oh, the safest. Once, I read Go the Fuck to Sleep for charity. One of my brand partners dropped me. What, you can't even say fuck? I can, but there are consequences. I said fuck. I lost money. Shit. If I showed how angry I really am, but I'm not gonna hide it. So I keep my chains on the wall in the living room. I want my guests to know, while I am unquestionably their friend, I am also absolutely filled with rage. You know the
All right, go on, jump in.
You know what I think about what the symbolism of those chains above the 12 Emmys that he has. I feel like those chains are him still being enslaved by, not physically, but by money, by contracts, by these, these corporations that have power over him. And if he says the wrong thing, then the money gets taken away, his house gets taken away, he can't pay, he can't provide for his kids, he can't provide for his wife. That's what I see those chains as. Because even now you have, I don't want to get your channel flagged or anything, but you have that war going on in the Middle East right now, and so many celebrities aren't even speaking about it because they know if they were to say anything about that, brand deal's gone, sponsorship's gone. So like there is still an enslavement. There is still an enslavement that exists. It may not be physical chains, but there are definitely chains on these people.
I feel that. It reminds me of I'm gonna say another Dave Chappelle skit, but you guys get an idea who I'm big fans of from who I go on about when I'm doing my shows. So this is old Dave Chappelle, by the way, not new Dave Chappelle, but that's a whole nother discussion. Old Dave Chappelle skit where he talks about the skit was basically, he says he goes to these ghettos and these hoods and he goes to inspire the kids. And the kids are like looking to him like, what do we need to do? And he's like, and they're like, oh, should we work harder? Should we this, that, and the other? He's like, nope, get to dancing, or shoot some hoops. That's the only way you're getting out the hood. It's a funny skit. I'm not funny like Dave Chappelle. But the point being is that you have these few kind of roots that will take root. There you go, that's a pun there. You kind of have these few roots that will take you out of certain situations, but like you just said, there's still kind of you could still kind of in chains. Look at NBA players, for instance. You know, like they're like, I'm a multi-millionaire, but that dude over there owns the club, and he's telling me that I have to turn up in a suit, otherwise I'm going to lose my
Did you
contract.
see what happened to
He's
Kyrie
telling me
Irving?
I can't. Yeah, Kyrie Irving. He's telling me I have to apologize to these men and bow my knee and do all. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when they want to, they will treat you like whatever. I don't know, man. So I don't know. I was just saying that to reflect on what you just said. That when you're in the end, particularly the entertainment industry, there is this level of subservience that you have to continue to, you know, you have to play ball. You know what I mean? Otherwise, the people who've made you what you are can take it away just as quickly. You know, it's mad.
100%. They made Kyrie Irving, they made him complete 6 demands for posting that through what's it called, from Hebrews to Negroes on his story. He didn't even say anything about the documentary. He just posted the link on his story, and they immediately what's it called, suspended him from the NFL, and they said that you have to complete these 6 things. You have to donate like $500K to a Jewish organization. You have to do this. You have to do this. They basically made him meet all these demands in order to actually get his stuff back. And even then, he was still suspended for a while. So there were still chains on him, you know.
Yeah. Well, all they did was start a revolution. Because all they did is they made 1 million people who had never heard of that movie and never would have hear about it.
Oh yeah,
that's all they did. You know, we got Yar is very real. Have you checked? I'm guessing you've checked that out, sir.
Yeah, I have. I did check it out. Yeah.
You know,
I just want to say,
go on.
I just want to say that, like, the fact that he posted that documentary and they basically forced him to donate is crazy, because the amount of, I'm not going to say who, but the amount of YouTubers and influencers that get caught wearing blackface or saying the N-word or something, and then all they got to do is apologize and they back to where they were.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie Irving kind of had to,
if they apologize.
If they apologize, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy, you know, and as you said, like they won't do it to black folk. They won't do it to black folk. They won't say, hey, send this money if they are racist towards us. They won't say, hey, you need to donate all this money to a black organization or go to a black museum or about slavery and stuff. I like film. I love film. I love movies, TV. But you know, even in sports too. But yeah, like those big corporations. Yeah, there's something. It's a matrix. It's a big matrix.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Let me put the next one on, guys. Okay, we're making some good progress here. Did anyone have any further thoughts on this Roots one before I keep it moving? You good?
No, I think we're good. Yeah.
We don't sing songs here. We sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief. But then he said something about a window and a door or something. Oh, then he said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor. So
the diva Rihanna. She's from Barbados? Yeah. Okay. Okay, she's Bayesian. How did you come in contact with her? We signed it at night. We didn't let her leave the office. Really? The 3 a.m. was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 a.m. Wow. That day, I was absolutely certain.
yes, he said, we don't sing.
All right. You guys are probably know I'm not a big Jigga fan. Any thoughts on that? Did everyone hear what was said in that?
That was very weird. I mean, there's some weird stuff going on in the music industry. Like, I mean, I don't know what exactly is going on. Obviously, we had that whole Diddy stuff going on, but like, there are some very, very suspicious things. I mean, even in Hollywood as well, we all know this. Like, there's just weird stuff going on. I don't even think that like you can get to billions of dollars. Like these are the first black billionaires in America, right? You have Jay-Z, you have Kanye, you have Rihanna, Beyonce. how do you get to billions without doing certain things? You know,
I'm gonna correct you and say they're the first famous black billionaires.
oh yeah, famous, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Fair enough. But
I
yeah,
don't know. Look, see, I mean, just hearing Rihanna's story, I think she was 16 or 17, I think, when she signed to Jay-Z's label, and her story there, like that's a disturbing story. I'm not being funny when they said like you either gonna sign it, you can leave through the door with the door signed, or you can leave through the window. Now, there's no way you can tell that story to me, yeah. And we think that's okay. Like I'm trying to see, oh, maybe it's just being exaggerated. But even when she's telling the story, she's not really smiling here. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna tell that to a 17-year-old? Yeah, like I don't know. That's wild, man. That is wild.
Jay-Z always told us who he was. You know, like he said.
Yeah. Who said that? Big you up. Jay-Z always told you who he was from day. Always listen to people because they always tell you who they are. Sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, him and Diddy too. You know, Diddy has always been a party promoter, you know. So when I think after Big died, he just wanted to make rap his one big party. You know what I mean? I'm simplifying things, but you know, when it comes to Hov and Diddy, they always told people who they were. You know, it was never the stuff they did was always an open secret within their circles, you know. And I'm not here to say or to confirm accusations, but you know, when you like, you know, like Yaz very real said, you can't have billions of dollars and not step over somebody's toes. You know what I mean? That's not possible. There's not enough work in the world for you to earn $1 billion. You know, so I feel like it's always kind of been out in the air, but now people are just now like seeing for what it truly really is.
I hear that. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm gonna keep it moving because I don't want Jay-Z's powerful tentacles shutting down my stream. Let's do the next one. Literally, like I said, I literally cannot remember what I saved here, guys. So this is as fresh to you as it is to me.
The coolest thing about Boomerang and the most political thing about Boomerang is that it's a movie with all black cast, and it has nothing to do with being black or nothing. It's just
no, but you see, like I'm reading this thing. I'm reading this through this is from the LA Times. This review, it says the most intriguing aspect of Boomerang turns out not its story, but its racial composition. It says this takes pains to create a reverse world from which white people are invisible.
Now, oh yeah, this cat in the LA Times was tripping because there were no there were white people in the movie, but there were no white leads in it. And he take a picture like Boys in the Hood. No one tripped about that because it was, you know, a movie that dealt with like a violent thing, but regular thing, and it was business. So we're the white people. Who's running that office? You know, it was that kind of. You know, so when you get that type of criticism, you can't really trip on it. Or if someone's reviewing a movie and they're tripping on me, you know, personally, I don't even.
Well, it's a cultural bias. It's the type of thing where people say they're not used to seeing black artists in these roles, so it seems odd to them. But you know, I would say,
well, you better get used to it because I ain't going no place. I ain't going no place.
And I saw Batman. I seen black people in Batman.
No, they had penguins and cat women. They could have one a brother with a limp or something, you know. The coolest thing.
Now that clip I loved. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little glimpse of the 90s. Yeah, that clip there I love because that's but it's also bittersweet watching that because at that point in time, this is what I was kind of referring to earlier when I was talking about kind of where everything was, how everything was set up. This was kind of like I said, with black people in control of the music industry, in control of their film industry, and you can see the energy behind him there is very clear. Like, no, we're just getting started. So I was expecting to grow up now and for us to just have our own everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's like there has been a deconstruction. So it's a little bit bittersweet because since Boomerang, the only kind of like black movies that are non-violent that we get are Tyler Perry's, and I don't know,
Spike
man.
Lee too.
No, I mean Spike Lee was before Boomerang. He still does movies, but by the way, Spike Lee's movies were a lot more popular back in the day than they are now. So Spike Lee, obviously, he still makes movies, but his movies are a lot more smaller, a lot more independent. They don't really get the fanfare. I don't know what. Actually, maybe you Americans can correct me there, but at least it doesn't feel like they get the same level of kind of industry backing as they used to. But in the 90s, Spike Lee movies were big. That was big cinema.
They don't.
Yeah. So yeah, and obviously Eddie Murphy would have been influenced by obviously the Spike Lee, progress. I think we had John Singleton as well. There was a few really good black movie directors out there, and we had our own industry. And obviously Eddie Murphy jumped on with Boomerang, which is it's a good movie. It's not like fantastic, but like you said, what I love about Boomerang is that it's just a movie about some dude in the office and having romances, and it's just a movie about black people with no gangsters in it, just black people being black. Do you understand what I was trying to say?
Like the 90s was a great time for that, as you said. What was that show? The Arsenio Hall show? Like there was a black man with a talk show. If there was a black man with a talk show today, it would be called woke. No?
Yeah, they'll get irritated by it, David Johnson, I'm gonna forgive you for that comment. He said never understood Spike movies, really weird. He did have a very original style of directing. Spike Lee, that's kind of his signature. But bear in mind, Spike Lee directed Malcolm X. I'm guessing you guys have all seen that, yeah? Tell me you've all seen Malcolm X.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
great.
You have to. That's like a must watch. Yeah, so Spike was the guy. Spike was the guy. I will have no Spike disrespect on this live stream. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah. His weird political voting system or not, Spike gets love here. So David, that's cool. That's cool. He's smiling. I'm glad you're smiling. Yeah. That's warning number one. I'll just play.
Can I say something about this clip?
Yeah, go on.
One thing that like you said, it was bittersweet. I want to attack that at like a different angle. I do believe it's bittersweet, but not because of what you said. It's because like the way that Eddie Murphy has to almost voice his concerns with how white people portray us in film, doing normal black people stuff. He has to even have, though he can't say it seriously. He has to add humor to it to like get the message across. Like if he were to get on here and just say, no, it's unjust, like people shouldn't be angry at seeing black people in a normal situation, and he just said it like that, like people would probably attack him and get onto him, but he has to almost deliver it with some humor, like to soften the message. Like our concerns are never really fully taken into consideration unless we make you laugh, unless we make you, Dave Chappelle, like when he does his humor, like he has to make you laugh in order for you to think. Cat Williams does the same thing. Like a lot of the time when we voice our opinions, it's not really heard unless we add something else, like we make you laugh a little bit, or we make you like entertained, we dance, we sing, like it's just one thing that I have a problem with. Like black people aren't really taken seriously when we voice our concerns just as it is. We always have to do something else.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think one of the reasons is that, and I'm going to speak very frankly here, white male fragility is one of the most potent forces that we find ourselves against. Yeah, that's the white male fragility is what invented, or I should say bastardized, the term woke. White male fragility these are the men that will get on their soapboxes and complain the moment black people try to make progress in any area. If there's any kind of like coalition or kind of like cooperation between black people and some kind of establishment, they'll be there calling it woke, calling it an attack. Like any black progress they see as an attack on their person. And you have to understand this white male fragility. And obviously I'm not saying this is every white male, but I'm saying there's definitely a kind of like there's definitely a
sentiment.
A sentiment of white male fragility, where you have these white males who are desperately unhappy with their own existence and find everything a threat to them. They're fearful about everything in life. They want to preserve white privilege, but they'll never turn around and admit they want to preserve white privilege, because the most effective way to preserve white privilege is to pretend it doesn't exist and say that everyone else is privileged. It's like the ultimate gaslight. You know, just gaslight everybody who tries to address them, and they will attack anyone. And that's why I specifically said white male fragility, because I've seen white women fall prey to white male fragility. Yeah, I've seen white women fall prey to it. I've seen everyone falls prey to white male fragility, and this is why we have to coat our petitions in humor. We have to laugh them along. We have to kind of like bring them along to the, you know, softly bring them along the ride, so that they don't turn around and basically attack us, because that's what this is all based on. You know, he's been interviewed here by a white male, okay, Jay Leno. All right, he's been Eddie Murphy. He's in front of a white male. He's very aware of that, and he's very aware if he phrases this wrong, he's gonna lose this opportunity with this audience. Yeah. So carry on. That was my only point.
You know, I think that, you know, I don't know how it is in the UK, but at least here in the US, a lot of white people believe in white supremacy in terms of white male fragility, but they don't think they do, because their idea of white supremacy is like a guy holding up a Nazi flag or burning a cross, and they don't even know that they believe in this stuff, because they feel like white supremacy can only be the extreme, when white supremacy moves under subtleness or intimacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. UK is rife with that. UK is perfect for that, because I always say I prefer America's flavor of kind of like prejudice,
racism.
Yeah, because at least it's on the sleeve. Do you understand what I mean? Whereas in the UK, like it's actually the majority of people who are like this, not the minority. You get the majority, but they feel very secure in doing it, because they're not overt with it, you know. So I totally concur.
Yeah, it's very covert in the UK. They do it underhandedly, like that. It's always there. It's like an ever-existing presence in the UK. Like with as you just said, with the US, like at least you know what you're getting straight up front. Like if they're racist, you know they're racist. With the UK, it's like, okay, you know, there's an underhanded, subtle, like, you know, undertone of, okay, this obviously you see me as different to me or to you. You see me maybe as inferior, but you never really outright say it. It's the way you act, it's the way you do things. It's the micro, what's it called? The microaggressions, exactly. Yeah.
No, I feel you. All right, I think that one was good. Let's should we hit the next one, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Over and over and over. When he first told me, Latoya, they're going to kill me, I said, who, Michael? First I thought you're Michael Jackson. Nobody in their right mind would ever think of doing anything like this to you. That's what you think. He says, no, but you don't understand. And then I saw how serious he was. He said, it's bigger than what you think. I said, well, Michael, what is it? He said, it's my publishing. They're after my publishing. They want to take it. As you guys know, my brother had one of the largest catalogs in the world, meaning music-wise.
The Beatles collection was one of them.
He owned the Beatles, yes. There's an elevator music that you hear, just everything, basically a piece of every artist.
I'm really intrigued, because you say that there was somebody at this house and you know who it was. Can you say who it was?
No, I cannot say, because there were other people at the house as well. Because I prefer not to at the moment, but I will say this: I would love to have a one-on-one with several people. One person I would love to have. Safe? I would love to have a one-on-one with probably.
I mean,
you say that you could instinctively get from them if they had a hand in his death.
Why don't you leave it to the law to deal with this?
Okay, you said leave it to the law to deal with this. Yes, of course, the law is dealing with this, but however, you must think about it this way. Joy, if you had a brother or sister that passed, and you knew that your sister or brother were telling you that they were going to do this to him, that it was a group of people, and this is what's going to happen to me step by step, the way he said it, not only to me, but to my mother as well, wouldn't you be concerned, and wouldn't you be involved to find out who did it? First of all, he told me over and over.
Okay, MJ. Now we're not going to go into the full MJ talk, but how much do people know about who Michael Jackson was? Tell me what you know about him. Tell me something you
I
know
don't know,
about
man.
Michael Jackson.
Big
He's
MJ
like-
fan. I've been a
he's
big
MJ,
MJ
yeah.
fan. Yeah, it's like, you know, legends like King of Pop, obviously. Owned half of Sony. You know,
There we go.
So basically, he was one of the most powerful black men, like, as of recent times. And obviously, you know, when you get a black person who has too much power and too much influence and too much of a voice, it never lasts long. You know, it's one of those things.
Absolutely. Listen, man. You see, MJ, you just said he owned half of Sony, which is, people need to realize what a big deal is. Yeah, Sony Music. Yeah, he owned half of it. But in addition to owning half of Sony Music, and Sony Music, I think still to this day is the biggest music label out there. So because Sony owned Vivo Vivo, that used to be Vivo. That's it. Everyone. He owned half of Sony Music, but on top of that, he also had publishing rights to the biggest private catalog in the world. So Michael Jackson owned, you guys will all know the Beatles. I'm sure you've all heard that. So he owned all of the Beatles music. So anytime the Beatles music played, Michael Jackson got paid. On top of owning all of the Beatles music, he owned like crazy amounts of music. Like he owned like all this elevator music, all of this old classic rock. I mean, his library was crazy. So this is on top of owning half of Sony. And people do not actually realize like how rich and powerful he was. In fact, in the UK, they had this whole smear campaign. The UK had a particular hatred for Michael Jackson, and they had this whole smear campaign where they tried to paint out like he was poor and he was greatly in debt. They did this whole kind of like expose on him. There was this guy called Martin Bashir. I'm going back now, but Martin Bashir, they did a documentary on MJ and they tried to paint out like the dude was broke. MJ was one of, like, forget Diddy and Jay-Z and even Ye, yeah. MJ was crazy rich, like got to the point where you can't count his wealth. Neverland, the land that he owned in America, was the size of a small city. Yeah, imagine, like, in America, he owned a small city in America, yeah, called Neverland. And apparently there's oil in Neverland as well. I think that was exposed years ago as well. So he owned this small city which also had oil in it. Yeah, literally his own like, you know, I can't remember how many thousands of acres, but it's like a small city. He owns Neverland. And then he's just this rich, powerful guy. Like, he was stupidly rich. So imagine, like, all the music that you're hearing today, MJ is getting paid for 50% of everything that's streaming on your on your Spotify account. Imagine that. Yeah, imagine that. And this is the reason why there was so much hatred for him in the media across the world, because this was all owned by this guy who built his wealth legitimately, wasn't born into him as a millionaire family, built his wealth legitimately from the ground up. And this clip here is disturbing because one of the things that we all know, sorry, and I'm rambling here and I'll stop when I finish, but one of the things we all know about MJ is that I've lost my trail of thought. I literally had a really good point there. But sorry, I'll let anyone else jump in. Go ahead.
Well, you notice during that clip, what's it called? Whoopi is very silent, and she even looks at what's it called, Latoya, and says when she wants to have a one-on-one on one of the people. It's clear to me that she clearly knows the people who are behind MJ's death, you know, his passing, and it's clear that, like, there's a fear there amongst you know, the industry, and they clearly know that there are some powerful individuals that you just can't speak against. Like, if you watch the clip again, you see that she hesitates, and then she looks at Whoopi and then touches her and laughs, because they both know the people who are behind this. So
I just remembered my point I was going to make. Sorry, you just reminded me. Thank you. So the point I was going to make is one of the things we all know about MJ is that his death was suspicious. That's confirmed. So it's not like that's not a conspiracy theory. The doctor who over medicated him was jailed. Yeah. So the guy was unlawful. In fact, he was jailed for unlawfully killing. Yeah. So he wasn't jailed for murder, but he was jailed for unlawful killing. So Michael Jackson's death wasn't like, oh, he was poor, of poor health and blah, blah, blah. Michael Jackson's death was he was unlawfully killed. That was the final verdict. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That was the final verdict. And it's like everyone just kind of like glosses over that and just moves over. Oh, well, you know, Michael Jackson's passed and we've all moved on. It's like, well, this is something's happened here, you know? Like we need to remember that this dude was unlawfully killed. I don't know. It just feels like that, you know?
King, do you know who Dick Gregory is?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I put in the private chat, it's like a 1 minute 30-second video, but I find it's kind of funny, but it's also related to this topic. He's talking about the death of MJ, and he says that MJ was killed by a laser, and then he gets really angry at the interview and talks about the Sony catalog. If you want to put it up, you can. If you want
yeah. What platform is it on? Is it YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Let me do that real quick. Let's do it. Since we'll stay on topic. Why not? Let me just find it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Copy that link. Bear with me. Let me get this up. I don't want any ads to come up because that's going to really pee me off.
You know, while you're bringing that up, I want to mention how, you know, your whole channel is about proving who the real ancient Egyptians were, or the real people of Kemet. And a lot of the people, you know, who say we are kings or something, they go around and they watch Remember the Time, and they love that music video. I just
right. It's insane. Oh my God. That's a great point. That is a great point. MJ knew who the real Egyptians were. That's why he did that. Like, come on.
Oh, they all knew. Even Eddie Murphy, who you just saw a clip of there, he had a video back in the day, a song called you know what's ironic?
I Was a King.
I Was a King. It was called I Was a King. Who just threw that out there? Who knew that? Sorry,
I did.
Big up to you. Big up to you, because that's also, you know what's wild about that? I didn't learn about that video until literally maybe a decade or so ago. You know what I mean? Someone was like, oh, you didn't know Eddie Murphy had a video back in the days? I was like, nah, because Eddie Murphy can't sing, innit?
So my dad told me, like, he even did a collaboration with Michael, like, What's Up? And it's like, he can't sing, man.
Sorry, I got a Charming Aquarius, yeah? Surfactant, you guys are both mods. Can you just deal with this VC MLM, please? Just block him, ban, and do whatever. Come do some heavy lifting with me, guys. Come on, man. You got that spanner by your name. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen, please. Thank you. Yeah. Get rid of the troll, man. Thank you. Thank you very much, Surfactant. Appreciate you. Let's listen to this Dick Gregory.
At 2 o'clock in the morning from a laser. And then 4 days later, they go into the house and find this bloody shirt of Michael's. And then understand it's like $450,000 worth of jewelry and cash missing.
I thought it was because of the Sony thing. They wanted I believe there was some.
But that's because you don't have the information.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
I said he was killed by a laser. Huh? I just told you it was a bloody shirt and the money. Just public. All you gotta do is go look it up. Huh? I didn't come here to find out what you think.
No, I'm just asking.
No, you didn't. You say you thought. I'm not interviewing you. You interviewing me. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Huh? But you go do it. I respect who you gonna be. So don't sit here and tell me you thought it was the Sony thing. Huh? Okay. What was the Sony thing about? Tell my grandmother.
Well, my understanding was that he was gonna get the Beatles catalog.
He already had it. Huh?
Okay.
He bought the Beatles catalog when his people told him don't buy it. He bought it for $48 million. When they killed him, it was worth $2.5 billion. Huh? We sitting here with respect for one. I don't want to hear what you thought. I saw the check, nigga. Huh? So I got to sit here what you thought. Who cares? Huh?
I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. That's the thing. This is the thing. You got to step proper, yeah, when it comes to the elders, yeah. Don't bring them, especially one that's still switched on. I can feel myself becoming more and more impatient like that as I get on.
For real. I can't wait till I turn
It's a
elderly.
damn what you think.
I don't care what you think, huh? Yo.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. But listen, what he was saying was deep because now I need to investigate this whole laser thing. And because all this stuff, all the propaganda, I just want to kind of put this out really quickly. All the propaganda about MJ worked before this is what they do. They basically discredit someone's name, make them appear unstable. They do everything they can. Do you understand what I mean? So that when they finally do what they do or they strike, everyone's kind of just like it's almost like in a way they've conditioned everybody to the fact that it's going to happen already.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Right. Yeah.
So by the time NJ passed, it was almost like, oh yeah, it kind of felt like that was going to happen soon. Do you understand what I mean? And there's no indignation. And they do that. Yeah.
This is it, right? He had a UK tour that he was doing, and he knew, like, he kept saying, "This is it, guys. This is it." Right before he died, like his last tour was called "This Is It." He knew something was coming. I mean, Latoya just said it in that clip that you played, that like he knew that something was coming for him. So like, I feel like we were all being conditioned to know that something was coming soon, and lo and behold, happened.
It's wild. I remember they did the same thing with Malcolm X's grandson as well. They released I can't remember if it was a whole documentary, and basically blamed him for the death of Betty Shabazz, and it basically just put all this negative, because he was out there doing the same thing Malcolm X was doing. He was a really powerful orator, really clearly spoken, had really strong ideas, was making a lot of progress in kind of like unifying black people. And then they released this documentary that had loads of uneducated people, I guess, cursing his name and acting like he was some irresponsible person. And then he went out to New Mexico and they killed him. That was it. Like he died in New Mexico. I remember that, like literally, like it was yesterday, man. So they very much have their method of kind of like discrediting people and priming people. And I think they do that to kind of create an energy around them. But I'm not going to go into that too much because that's getting a bit too dark now. I want to hopefully got something to lighten up the mood a little bit now.
And there's this sudden feel
we've
of
done this one already.
relief.
No, we've done this one already. Okay, let's do the next one. There are duplicates in here, clearly.
Old timers, we grew up. If you called someone Neanderthal, that was an insult. Do you realize that the most racist scientific community ever were 19th century anthropologists? They're the ones that set up the race and this, and white male humans were at the top of the evolutionary ladder, and blacks and everybody else were lower, still evolving, closer to the apes. So watch what happens. In the 1990s, now that we can do genetic tracking and things, the world found out that Europeans are between 1% and 3% Neanderthal, and Africans are 0% Neanderthal. So in the 1990s, research papers started coming out talking about how creative and imaginative the Neanderthals must have been, and how they used tools. A complete facelift of the Neanderthal. Realize we old timers, we grew up
Now I know you guys have heard me drop this bombshell before regarding Neanderthals, but the whole revision. By the way, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm not going to say a love-hate relationship with him. It's actually I mostly like him. I just think that astrophysicists sometimes go a bit far with their presumptions, but you know what? He's the real deal. I like him. I like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's at the core a good person. And this whole Neanderthal thing is wild, yeah. Because I was actually watching a documentary. In fact, I think I played the documentary the other day because it had a geneticist on there who I quote from quite a lot, Dr. Selena Brace. But this documentary was made by the BBC, and this whole thing, the BBC just took it to a whole nother level. It's like the Neanderthals aren't just not stupid anymore. They were the more advanced human beings. You know, they had advanced cave art before Homo sapiens had cave art, and they could do this and do that, and they were dancing. And here we might have found the secret to flight. Neanderthals were making statues, and all of it's gone crazy. It's gone totally crazy with the Neanderthal talk. Listen, Neanderthals were the species that didn't make it. Yeah. And when we were growing up, just like he said, Neanderthal was the biggest insult that you could give to another person. It's basically saying you're dumb, you Neanderthal, you idiot. Yeah. You extinct, you extinct subhuman being. And now that they realize that they're Neanderthal and Africans are not, Neanderthals must become, you know, more advanced, the most advanced being. But doesn't that reaction, doesn't that shift, shouldn't that tell you everything that you need to know about the way information works in this world?
Oh yeah, it's all politicized. I think we were talking about this earlier in the Discord server, but do you know that I don't even want to give light to his name. It's that stupid white YouTuber who calls everyone, like the guy who called Mansa Musa white or whatever.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that guy.
Let's
He's
not
now
give
pushing
him-
a new agenda that apparently black people are 19% Homo erectus or something. And he's trying to make the claim that now we're the subhumans and stuff like that. It's they're trying different playbooks and it's not working. It's not working at all. It's useless.
That dude, I can't remember what his name is, and it's probably better that we don't remember his name.
Yeah, don't mention.
He's not even like, come on, man. He's not even worth the energy. Like, just make stuff up. It's like the other guy who I dressed down on my channel, Simon Webb, and he's kind of like, these guys just make stuff up. They'll just say anything. You know, there doesn't have to be any evidence. And this is the thing about wild Eurocentrism is the most unsupported fairy tale crap that you'll get out there. They will never back anything they say up with any sources. Like, they don't need a source. They just need a fragile white male with a story. And that's it. I'm my own source. It's like, what are you talking about? Sources? Can't you see what I am? I have blue eyes. Why would I need to give you a source? It's like, dude, like, what the heck is this crap? Like, to say that the king of Mali, yeah, in Central Africa, yeah, was white, yeah. It's like,
it's a joke.
All right, cool. Yeah, what's for lunch? You know, I can't. I can't engage an idiot like that. I can't even. People are like, oh, you got to debunk him. No, what's there to debunk? You have to provide something for me to debunk that someone actually respects outside of your Lulu Lala stupid land that you live in, which is no one.
Exactly, you know, and also, and just to add to mention is that it's like he uses as the guy that you that said like Mansa Musa is white. It's like he is using an old map as saying the one of those old medieval maps that portray Mansa Musa as white to show proof, but he ignores. And that's the thing about Eurocentric scholarship, which I cannot understand, is that they don't use anthropology. Eurocentrism, history has no backing in anthropology, because if you're going to learn the history of a people or of a king, you got to learn what the culture of the people is. And Mansa Musa was a Mandinka, right? So if you look at the Mandinka, they're clearly not white.
It's ridiculous. It's like they are the cherry picking like supremacists. Let's just call them that. Cherry picking supremacists. They literally will find one, and you can't even call it evidence. They'll find something that gives them a hunch about something, and that will override the mountings of evidence that tells them that they're wrong. It's like, for instance, I have people telling me, oh, like my favorite one is Queen T was white. And I'll say, okay, cool. Queen T was white. What's your evidence for this? Well, actually, no, someone told me the other day, Amos Nefertari was white. I said, okay, so what's your evidence for this? Well, look at this stele. And then they showed me a stele that was made, in the late 19th, early 20th dynasty. Yeah. So that's like 300 years after her death, yeah, like a long time after her death. And in this stele, she had yellow skin because, as you know, they used to show deities as gilded, especially the ones who were Hathor, House of Hathor, Heteru, which Amos Nefertari was. So they would show her skin gilded, i.e. covered in gold. And when they didn't have gold, they would just use yellow paint. And he's like, this is an accurate portrait. I was like, dude, you found one stele in a tomb. It wasn't even a royal tomb, in a tomb of a noble, that shows her in a deified form. And you've ignored these 60 portraits of her that were made during her lifetime because they weren't convenient to your argument. Do you understand? Like, this is the way their brain works. Like, one stele overrides 60 portraits.
Cherry picking. That's what they do.
It's definitely cherry picking, you know, because
stupidity.
I was talking to one of my friends, and you know, he went to when he was in school, he was in an art class, I think a history art class, and they were studying ancient Egyptian art, you know, and the teacher said that they will only be studying the eras later with the Greeks and the Romans. so he stood up in front of the entire lecture hall. He said, we'll be looking at the 28th dynasty, right? And she said, oh no, we're not going to be looking at the 28th dynasty in this class, but you know, I can give you some resources if you want to look into it. And so the class continues, and then at the end of the class, she's like, you know, come here. She's like, you know, they won't allow me to talk about the 28th dynasty, you know, like that's what she told him, you know, which is insane. You know what I mean? And you know, when he told me that story, it just made me.
Was that supposed to be 25th or?
I think it was the 25th. I might.
You're talking about the Kushite one, the Kushite.
Yeah, the one with the
25th.
Yes.
But I get you anyway. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was crazy how an entire class were on these later periods of Egyptian occupation, and she's not even allowed to bring up the 25th dynasty at all.
Yeah.
She's not even allowed to speak on it.
That's crazy. I want to do a couple shout outs. London MMC, sorry. He said they're turning them into intelligent playboys. I saw a picture of a Neanderthal holding hands with a human girl, like they were going steady. But this is this is what they're doing. Like like Neanderthals are getting the ultimate revisionist history. And this, to me, it just proves that they can turn anyone into a hero. They shape history around their ideals. They're exposing themselves. Because if anyone comes up to you now, any Eurocentrist comes up to you and goes, oh, we don't change history, this, that, and the other, just say Neanderthals. In fact, I want everyone on this call to remember that. Yeah. When people come to you and say Europeans don't change histories, our historians, our anthropologists are absolutely accurate and we do things by the book, just say Neanderthals. That's it. That should be your line, your B line to go to. Neanderthals. We don't like Neanderthals. Yeah. Should we talk about how much they've changed? Because either 100 years ago, you guys were complete idiots, or right now you're lying. It's one or the other. Yeah. It's no way what you're saying it is. So yeah, big shout out to you, London MMC, and a big shout out to Seth Acton for the $5 donation. I appreciate you. He says, so the people that don't bathe, eat raw meat, and use violence at the drop of a hat are actually the advanced species. So he's talking about Neanderthals here. I'm white, so I'm right. You know, it's wild. And I want to give another shout out. Thank you very much for that donation as well. Why has your comment disappeared? Anyway, I can see it on my screen, but I can't put it on my screen for some reason. Yashwa, let me see if I can make it. Oh, there it is. It's disappeared now. Yashwa Almari says, what's the Mediterranean or the med term for living in a false reality? Med term? What do you mean med term?
Maybe it could be talking about the Meginetta.
Maybe Medinetta term. I have no idea. Or medical term? Maybe medical term.
Oh, medical.
Living in a false reality. It's what is it? I've said on the tip of my tongue.
He said it in chat. Schizophrenia.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that'll do. That will do. That will do. We're happy with that. Delusional disorder, schizophrenia. Okay, cool. We got a few answers there. So yeah, cool. I like that one. I enjoyed that. Should we keep moving?
For sure.
Boom. think that's where we're up to.
He said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists.
Okay.
And there was this.
What am I doing? Have I gone
You
back?
have the same clip like 3 times.
No, I think I've just gone back in my list. All my crap. Okay. Let me go back to see where I was up to. Get the URL. Okay, so that's okay, that's over. My visited links all suddenly just reset and turned color again. So okay, so let's see, MTQ. Okay, that's what I'm up to. All right, so the next one's here. I didn't have the same clip 3 times. All right, let's try again. The next one. Boom.
King who refused to bow to Queen Elizabeth. King Ada Ama Oboni. He was viewed as a god and possessed supernatural powers. As a ruler, he had strict conditions to follow, such as, he was not allowed to see dead bodies, shake hands with women, or take off his cap in public. He attended a meeting in Kaduna where the Queen was present. Other African kings removed their caps to greet the Queen, but he refused. He was forced to, and when he yielded, bees came out of his cap and filled the room, disrupting the meeting. He was later arrested and sent to prison, which he disappeared from. Like and subscribe for more. The African...
Yeah, I don't actually remember adding that one. Any thoughts on that? Big shout out first of all to Darius G for the $5 donation. He says, remember they stopped saying so easy a caveman can do it in Geico commercials. I'm not aware because I'm not in the States, but that sounds, yeah, that sounds. Now, David Johnson has actually asked a very important question. He said, which country? This is why I'm kind of, oh no, it says here, King Ada Ama Oboni. So maybe someone could figure out what country that is.
He says it's Igala King in one of the comments. Igala
King. Okay, Igala King. Okay, cool. Because yeah, I mean, that's an interesting story. Sorry, any thoughts on that?
I mean, if that's true, that's gangster.
That's true. You know, it's fun. It's like so interesting. You know, is that like and it's a good like reminder, I guess, for all of us is that there were certain African rules that were like not going to give up their rulership over another ruler, and they were not going to yield. You know. In some cases, it's, you know, it reminds me of Ethiopia in some cases where like the colonizer comes in and like tries to change the people and conform to how they live, but they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And yeah, all I could say is yeah, that's gangsta. I don't know what else to say. I really don't.
You know, I wish.
Go on.
You know, seeing this is making me think of the lack of respect a lot of African leaders have when it comes to visitors from the West. I don't know if you saw King, the Steve Harvey situation where he went. I forgot where he went. He went.
Yeah. I saw that
like,
going up. Well, I didn't really know what was going on, but I knew people weren't happy with him.
Yeah, so he basically, I think he went there. I think he either went to Botswana or Zimbabwe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he went there for business, basically. And so he was meeting with the president, and you know, he had a whole slide, and there was a slide of introduction, and he's like, "Oh, no need to introduce me. I'm famous. Don't gotta introduce me. I'm famous." And he was basically being disrespectful, you know, stupid stuff like that. And a lot of people are like, "Wow, like the lack of respect he has for a president." Because if he went to go meet like the president of the United States, he would not be acting like that, you know. And I feel like a lot of, when it comes to a lot of people from the West that come visit, like I think Messi, I forgot what country Messi went to, but he went to go see an African president in jean shorts and a t-shirt, you know. So, you know, seeing the story is just making me like, wow, it's a lot different.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's interesting because I saw the clip and it went over my head. I think he might have been slightly uncouth, but he didn't look like he was deliberately being disrespectful. But I could be wrong. Maybe he just assumed since he was invited that they all knew who he was, and he wanted to kind of just get on with what he was saying. But that being said, I'm not going to make excuses for him. He clearly offended people. but I need to understand the bigger context there. But I guess the one point I was going to make was regarding African leaders, and people being surprised. Like from my understanding, I don't think there were any African leaders who yielded to European conquest. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because we have barely any, if any, preserved African lineages in terms of monarchs. We have a few small ones, yeah, but in terms of like residing over nations, we don't have any African nations that are ruled by their original royal lineages, yeah, and that's because the royal lineages didn't yield, yeah. They didn't yield. They weren't yielding to colonialism. They weren't yielding. And so what would happen is the West would prop up, disgruntled parts of the population or disgruntled smaller ethnicities, arm them well, and use that as their tool, or as their major tool for the removal of the standing African royalty. But from my understanding, this story that you're hearing about this king, this is pretty standard across Africa. I don't think there was any African who was just having it like, yeah, here, just have my throne. You guys are in charge. Nah, I don't think it went down like that. And that's why that doesn't really have any monarchies anymore. We have presidents. Presidents is not an African thing, to be clear. Yeah, Africa didn't have presidents before. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, presidents are prime ministers. This is a European thing that's imposed upon Africa. Otherwise, we'd have all of our monarchs just sitting there being happy to be, subservient. Yeah, go on.
King, someone is trying to wants to be letting Do. This guy named Do is trying to join the chat.
Okay, let me have a look. 1 second. Cool. Just ask him to I won't show it to him. I'm just just show me yourself on camera really quickly, and then once I've seen you, I'll be happy to add you. Cool. All right, nice. You could close it down. Cool. All right, I think you're on now, Do.
Peace.
How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Was just listening, just getting off of work. On my way home from work. So when I talk, if it's too loud, just let me know if I'm cutting in and out. Just let me know and I'll mute out. But I just kind of wanted to comment on the like you said, the revision of the Neanderthal, and we do have to be conscious of the propaganda that's in science. You know what I mean? Propaganda is in everything. Science, history. And you do a great job of pointing out the propaganda. So we think that pseudoscience is gone and history is objective, but it's really not. So, and I just agree with you that now they're trying to massage the new narrative of the Neanderthal into history, because now they're realizing that it's basically them. You know what I mean? So it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's crazy.
Agree. The Neanderthal has to be superior now. That's the rule. It has to be superior, because if they are us plus Neanderthal, then how can they make Neanderthal inferior? What does that say about them? That's not a narrative they're going to go for. They've pushed this whole, do you understand what I mean? They've pushed this whole narrative of racial supremacy and racial superiority and greater mental ability, etc. So if they then now turn around and say, well, we're basically you plus 3% Neanderthal, and the Neanderthal is inferior, it doesn't work. The entire model falls apart. So it's kind of like they've beat themselves into a corner in many ways. I kind of understand why they have to create a false narrative about the Neanderthal, but it's still a false narrative. The Neanderthal is extinct. That's the be all and end all of it. So he wasn't superior, he was clearly inferior. There's just no two ways about it, but there you go. Let's pull up the next one.
Did you know that the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest, most complete Bible on earth? The Ethiopian Bible is written in an ancient language that dates back thousands of years and includes ancient scrolls and manuscripts predating the King James Bible by centuries. And what makes this even more fascinating is that Ethiopia had these texts long before Christianity was officially adopted in the 4th century. The most significant change in biblical history occurred during the reign of King James III in the early 1600s. King James commissioned 47 scholars to create a single authoritative version. This process took 7 years and resulted in the King James Bible, published in 1611. However, these edits excluded many texts present in the Ethiopian Bible. This raises the question, why were these texts omitted, and what do they reveal that mainstream Christianity does not? The Ethiopian Bible includes the Book of Jubilees, which offers a different chronology and understanding of biblical events, suggesting time manipulation by divine or otherworldly forces. It also contains references to lost books and prophecies that have been kept hidden, revealing esoteric knowledge about human origins, cosmic cycles, and even future events that align eerily with modern occurrences. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church maintains that these hidden texts were suppressed by early church authorities to control spiritual knowledge. These texts might awaken humanity to its divine potential and cosmic heritage. Did you know that the Ethiopian...
That one's pretty loaded.
I want to talk about this so
where's our resident expert on this subject?
Could I
jump in, man, jump in.
Bro, okay, so I don't wanna like, you know, self-advertise or anything, but I've been talking about this on my channel. If you really look at the translations for
Because can I make you pause really quickly, because you're gonna go into a new subject, and I had a donation for $5.
Oh, yeah.
Says whenever I hear white people claiming superiority, I think of the line, any man that must say I am a king is no true king. Where is that from? Is that Game of Thrones? I can't remember. I am a king.
Oh yeah, that is Game of Thrones. That is
that Game of Thrones? That is a
Game of
bar.
Thrones.
Game of Thrones has got so many bars. I'm sorry, that's a bar.
I think it was Tyrion Lannister that said that. Yeah.
He said it to the young one. Who was that irritating one?
The irritating one.
Joffrey.
Joffrey.
Yeah, what a bar. Surfactor came with the bar there. Sorry, carry on. I'll let you speak on.
Oh yeah, but basically, yeah, I've been talking about this. If you look at the real Hebrew, if you look at the actual Hebrew, you don't look at the translations, because people look at the KJV, people look at the translations of the Bible. If you look at the manuscripts, you realize it says it on Wikipedia itself. Moses crossed the Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea. It's a mistranslation. He crossed the Sea of Reeds, and it's the same reed basket that he was using. It's the same river that he was placed in, made by a reed basket. The same place where all the Hebrew babies were killed. It's the Nile River. He crossed the Nile River, and he made his way down into Africa. It's very controversial. It's very controversial, because the narrative that we're being fed today, that those people in the Middle East are the true people. But if you really look at the manuscripts, if you really look at that the Hebrew, you realize that he crossed the Sea of Reeds, and you realize that that's the same river that he was placed in, the same river that the Pharaoh's army drowned in. It's basically divine revenge, right? Pharaoh kills all the Hebrew babies in that river, and then Pharaoh gets killed in that same river. It's the same river. He makes his way down into Ethiopia, and that's why Ethiopia is one of the earliest countries that adopted Christianity. That's why they have the oldest manuscripts. That's why they have the Ethiopian Jews out there. That's why they have, all the 12 churches, the 12 stone-hewn churches. There's so much evidence to suggest that the true Holy Land, the real Holy Land, is in fact Ethiopia. And that's why they have the Garima Gospels, which are the oldest Gospels in the world. They have the Ethiopian canon. They have the Ge'ez Bible. They have the Afro-Asiatic languages are speculated by scholars to come out of Ethiopia as well. So there is so much evidence that points to Ethiopia. Even Dr. Ben, I'm not sure if you're familiar with his work, but Dr. Ben says it in one of his interviews that before the Nicene Council of 325, it was widely known that Jesus was born in Ethiopia. So there's a lot of evidence. I'm going to be doing a documentary on this. It's going to be very, very extensive. But I'm telling you that Ethiopia is a sacred land. That land that they are proposing is the true Holy Land. Is not that land. So
okay, so I guess where ask a question, and this is obviously for me from the historical senses. Modern Ethiopia is a different land to ancient Ethiopia, from my understanding. So the Ethiopia of the biblical Ethiopia, for instance, was more a reference to Sudan and Central Africa.
Yes, yes.
Whereas
Well,
modern Ethiopia got its name quite recently, but was known as other things before then.
yeah, the translations of
Is it all? Is it just to ask the question? Is it an entire expansive land that reaches from the Horn of Africa across Africa, or are you talking about the Sudan area, or are you not being specific? Just to get your feedback.
basically the what's it called, the Ethiopia that they put in translations, in the KJV and stuff, that is the Kush area, that is Sudan area. The Ethiopia that I'm referring to is the modern land that is called Ethiopia today. That is the land that they were in. That land around that area is the land. It wasn't obviously it was not referred to as the land of Ethiopia back then, because that's more recent. But the Ethiopia that they translate, the term that they use Ethiopia in the Bible is in fact the Kushite region. So it's Kush.
I would agree with that, but with most of the thing you said about the Ethiopian Bible being the oldest and having the oldest manuscripts, I would disagree clearly about this point. Because
what would your feedback on that be? What would be older than the Ethiopian Bible in your view?
Yeah, like it said that the Ethiopian Bible is the most completed Bible, but it's not the oldest, because when the Christian made the first canon, it was in the Council of Synod, I think. It was in the Roman Empire, right? This
Are
is
you
what I know.
talking about the Septuagint Bible?
No, I'm not talking about the Septuagint. I'm talking about when Christianity actually started, because Ethiopian, the Ethiopian, they are Orthodox. They themselves come from this Christian era, which started in the Roman Empire, but they were not the first who had a Bible canon. It was actually made in 338 AD in the Council of Synod. This is where they actually made the first Bible. It was not the Ethiopian Bible.
I've got some interesting feedback on that. Yeah, so I'm reading the book at the moment, which I'm not going to go into. This is going to get really deep. But I'm reading the book at the moment called "The Problem with Chronology" by Anatoly Fomenko, and it talks about time dilation, which this, by some chance, just happened to mention. And it talks about the fact that basically the council that you just mentioned, I'm not sure what you called it, but it's also called the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Laodicea. It goes by a couple of different names, and basically this book argues quite well that council never took place, and that the most recent canonization of the Bible took place in the 1500s. So basically that event that they speak about is a faked event, and the way that it's stated, and I'll say why. I'm not leaning on either side of the fence. I'm just going to tell you what I read. The way it's done is basically, he argues that a lot of our dating of manuscripts, historical manuscripts, we use a technique called paleography, and I'm not sure if you've heard what that is, but essentially paleography is where they estimate the date or how old something is by the style of the writing. Okay, and they say, well, during this time, this is how people in this region used to write. So they're looking at the kind of words that are being used, blah 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 blah. But the problem with paleography is that all of the texts that they refer to rely on paleography. So it's kind of like this self-fulfilling cycle where it just takes one historian to take a text and say, this was written in 500 BC, for instance, yeah, and now every single other historian who finds a text written in a similar way will date it to 500 BC, but that first historian could have been wrong. Do you understand? So
I think I know who you're talking about.
I clearly understand.
Yeah,
I clearly understand what you mean, but from my research, because I was really deep into it when I was Abrahamic back then, and I know that in Jesus' time, the Septuagint was in Greek because Judea was in the Roman Empire, and that part of like the Middle East, they actually spoke Greek. So in Jesus' time, they also spoke Greek. The Septuagint was in Greek, and the first manuscript, the oldest manuscripts, were written in Greek because this was the language which the Jews were speaking back then. Even Paul wrote in Greek, and as I've said, like the earliest manuscripts and even the first followers of Christ, most of them also speak in Greek because Greek was in back then like the English of today,
But
So
you do realize they don't have any of those original texts. So the text that the original Greek text we don't have. So the King James Bible is not translated directly from an original ancient Greek source. It's translated from a much more modern source.
Masoretic text.
Yeah. So
yes, I
from much, but the original Greek text, which they say it came from, no one's seen it. It's just we just have to take their word that it existed. Do you understand what I mean? So
I think no, the problem, I think you don't really understand. My English is not the best, but I'm trying because I speak German. I live in Germany. I was born and raised.
Your English is very good, sir. Carry on.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So the thing is actually, I have explained everything. Like Greek was the English of back then, and the oldest manuscripts are actually in Greek. Because when the Christians, they were spreading their message, they needed to spread it in Greek. Because the people were, this was the only language they could communicate. And, and the thing is, we have like people like the church fathers, right? The church fathers, the earliest Christians. And we actually find the oldest manuscripts, but there was not a canon. This was the problem which a Christian actually had back then. But it was not the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea was in 325. I said it was the Council of Synod. It was in 338. And this is where the Christian first put a canon together, and this canon was in Greek. And Ethiopia, I think Ethiopia was a country which actually became later Christian. Right?
They became Christian in the 4th century, around.
No. This is what the tradition says, and when you look into the tradition actually says that it was one of the apostles who came there. But you should not forget that the Ethiopians themselves, they are still Orthodox. Orthodox is a Greek word.
Well, you do agree.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, you do agree that none of the texts that were canonized in the Council of, what was the word you used? Sorry,
Synod. Yeah.
Synod. None of those texts exist anymore. All we have is the translations from them. So the point is that the amount of faith that you're placing that these texts existed. Do you understand? So we've all heard the story. They were canonized in this time by the Roman Empire, blah, 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 blah. But the point is that none of those texts exist. We don't have any of them. This is why, obviously, the finding of, the Dead Sea Scrolls, blah, 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 etc., was such a big deal, because it's like, oh, wow, we finally have an old text, which they only declared was old using paleography. But what I'm saying is there is a lot of faith. We have to employ a lot of faith to believe what the story that you're giving, which sounds very logical, but there's still a lot of faith. We don't have a lot of evidence for it. All we have is translations of it without the originals.
No, I clearly understand what you're saying. I'm not even saying that like we have this kind of Bible, because it was the church father Athanasius who actually compiled it, who actually canonized it, because there were a lot of apocryphas in these days. But I'm just saying that all other canon goes after it, and like the Ethiopian church, it has like because I think Ethiopia was a little bit mixed with Judaism and all that stuff, that they included some different more books. That's why they have the most completed Bible. But I just want to say that it is not the oldest Bible, and it's also not the first canon from my research. But I clearly understand where you're going to, King.
Can I just say something that actually slightly disagrees with what both of you have said about the 4th century being the date that Ethiopians turned Christian? Because there's actually text within Acts, which you'll both agree was canonized at this time, that says that the Ethiopians the book of Acts says that the Ethiopians were already Christian.
No, but the translation, Ethiopian means Cushite It means Cushite. If you look at the translation,
Yeah, no, but my point is that they were all. It says in Acts that they were already Christian.
As in,
Yeah,
no,
but
but
the problem,
are you talking
when
about,
the book was written.
are you talking about
the problem I
Ethiopian
have
eunuch?
with it, the problem I have with this is because the thing is, it actually says that this messenger was the messenger of the, I think the word is Kandake or Candace, I think it's in English.
Yeah,
and
it's Sudan. It's
this
Sudan
is Sudan. It's not talking about the Habesha.
Yeah,
You know, it's
it's talking
talking
about the
Oh no,
Sudan.
yeah, but my point is that it was in Africa. I'm not differentiating right now between whether or not it was an Abyssinian, a Aksumite, a Meroite, a Cushite. I'm saying the point is that in the Bible we have a text in Acts that clearly says that the Africans, the Ethiopians, wherever you place that, were already Christian. So you can't say that they became Christian after the book was canonized.
No.
And have a text clearly saying that they were
It's
already
not
Christian.
what I meant. It's not what I meant.
Okay, cool. No, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know too much about the Bible, but I always, when I was a Christian, that one always stuck out to me. So
Yeah,
that
eunuch you're talking about, the Ethiopian eunuch. If you look at the obviously the Hebrew, the word for Ethiopian is Cushite. So it would be, as you were saying earlier, as what's called chematology pointed out as well, you know, the term Candace is there, and that's Kandake for the Sudan area. So it was a Sudanese eunuch that was first Christian, and I assume that he probably went back to, you know, the Kushite area, the Sudan area, to preach to his people. But yeah, I mean, obviously the official narrative that we're given is that the Ethiopians turned Christian in the 4th century, but you still have the Ethiopian Jews who are based around Lake Tana, which is the source of the Blue Nile. You know that there's, and they say that they came there from Egypt. They came there from Egypt.
Yeah,
that mimics the Exodus story. I make a very strong case. I make a very, very strong case that the Exodus was from Egypt into Africa rather than from Egypt to the Levant, like the narrative we are fed today. But obviously, you know, people can check that out in their own time and stuff. I don't want to, you know, self-advertise, but yeah, I believe that. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go. I was gonna say I think that I think my research is leading me to agree with that. Definitely. So.
Oh yeah. All the Israelites are like, obviously I'm about to get on some like Dr. Umar type timing, but like the Israelites were black, 100%. Like if you use the Bible, if you use deductive reasoning, you can figure out they're black. The Israelites and the Egyptians were constantly mistaken for each other. Cush is a brother. Well, you know, you have the sons of Noah. You have Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham begot what's it called, Mizraim, which is Egypt. Cush, and Cush is a brother of Mizraim. Cush is black. Obviously, Cush is the progenitor of the Cushites according to the Bible. So if Cush is black and, you know, the Cushites are black, that would by implication make the Mizraim, who is the progenitor of the Egyptians according to the Bible, that would make Mizraim black and make the Egyptians black. So, and if the Israelites are constantly mistaken for Egyptians, it happened to Paul, it happened to Moses, it happened to Joseph when his brothers couldn't recognize him in Egypt, it happened to the Messiah himself when he went into Egypt to escape from the Roman soldiers, and it happened when the Canaanites, when they had a funeral for one of the Israelite progenitors. There are 5 instances in the Bible where the Israelites are constantly mistaken for Egyptians, and obviously through your research, King, we know that the Egyptians are black, so by implication the Israelites would also be a black people. So, you know, yeah.
But I have a question, if I can ask it, or
I'll ask. No, go ahead. I'll ask a question. I don't want to
question.
break you guys in your stride. I'm actually quite enjoying the discussion. Go ahead.
Because I was also, I believe in the same thing like he did once, but I have a question, like what would you say why the other Semitic speaking people like the Arabs, the Arameans, the Chaldeans are not black, like you are saying the Israelites were?
I'm happy to jump in on that one.
Because the thing is, I know also that the Egyptians, they painted Semitic speaking people like the Hyksos, you know, they call them Amu. And when I'm seeing this kind of people and I see their features, it looks like you know, like an Arab. Like
where do you think the Hyksos were from?
I believe that they were from Canaan.
Okay, so Canaan is a son of Ham.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I believe like Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop wrote in his book that they were like the ancient Canaanites who were black, but that you know, people from maybe Mesopotamia or from the Caucasus merchant. They came there and mingled and took over the language.
But chematology, I want to ask you a question. If
Yeah.
you believe that the Canaanites were obviously an Arabian people, right? You have Canaan, you have Put, who is the progenitor of ancient Libya. You have Mizraim, obviously the progenitor of the ancient Egyptians, and you have the Kush, who is the progenitor.
I'm not saying Canaan. I'm not saying Canaan. Sorry. You know, the thing is that we know that Canaanite was a Semitic language. I agree with you. I say that maybe they were like the Canaanites started black, you know, but in the area of the Middle East, which we know, in the time of the Kemites, you know, they draw them, and they don't fit with the Kemites, you know. They seem to be like people from Palestine nowadays, you know. Their features.
I mean, I'll just jump in there. I'm gonna jump in a bit there because I'm
Go ahead.
gonna disagree with you slightly. Although I think it's a really good question, by the way. All right. So first of all, there are more Semitic languages spoken in Africa than there are elsewhere. Yeah, East Africa has the most Semitic languages. Then, so when you're looking at Semitic, you're looking at a branch of the Afro-Asiatic family anyway. So we're talking about a group of languages that originated in Africa and then spread to other parts of the world. Now, if you look at many regions of the earth where what you mustn't do, and I can be guilty of this, is suffer from presentism in terms of those populations. Just because a certain group of people who speak a certain language look a certain way now, it doesn't mean they look like that historically. My understanding is that the Arabian Peninsula, the Middle East, was a very black place, and that's, you don't even have to go too far back. I've mentioned many times that I used to live in the Middle East, and I met indigenous Qataris who will tell you straight faced, we are indigenous. You go to Oman, you go to Yemen, these are black people. Yeah, they're still there, they're still existing. They'll tell you, no, we are the indigenous people. And the people who look different, they also are very connected with their origins, just like what we see in Egypt today, where they'll say, oh no, we're Egyptian. It's like, no, you are probably Mamluk, okay, or you're probably from here. You're probably, they kind of know as well. You might even be Greek, you know. It's like the have your cake and eat it, the Copts, you know, who will say we're Greek Orthodox, and they'll speak Greek and they'll be proudly Greek, and then say, well, no, we're the original Egyptians. Like, no, you can't be both. You got to pick one, you know. And this is, you have a lot of that taking place. So when it comes to the Semitic speaking nations, I put it in its context over what's happened over time. Look at because you could say the same thing about the Amazigh speaking nations. If you completely erase the fact that you had 2,000 years of Circassian and Caucasian slavery, which has lightened North Africa. But all the original Amazigh speakers were black. All the original Berbers were black, and they've lightened over time significantly. 100%. So I would that would be my response to that question. And also, just to be clear as well, a lot of the remember, I press with a lot of authority in terms of my own authority, not saying that I'm correct, but I'm saying that ancient Egyptians were really good at portraying phenotype. Yeah. And sometimes we see phenotype that we say, oh, this must be modern, and I don't see modern Arab. I'm like, well, the difference that could be shown here could be shown between a Horn African and a Sudanese, or the difference that might be shown here might be the difference between a Nubian and a Habesha. Do you understand what I mean? And you might see, because remember, you might see someone portrayed with long hair and instantly think, oh, well, this is an Asiatic, and it must be, you know, like a modern Middle Eastern, where it could just be a long-haired, light-skinned African population. Do you understand what I mean? So the Hyksos, if you look at their pictures, complexion-wise, they weren't far off the ancient Egyptians, which makes me think, were they just another type of kind of like, were they a Somalid type people? Were they Ethiopian type people? That's kind of where my mind is when I look at those populations. I don't necessarily think that they were non-black populations, but that's my thought process, and people are obviously very welcome to disagree.
And just to add on,
very interesting.
You said you were talking about the Semitic people. If we're taking the biblical account into, because obviously we're talking about the Ethiopian Bible and such, we have depictions of the Elamites today, and obviously Elam was a brother of Arphaxad, Ashur, We have a what's it called? We have many depictions of the Elamites, and they were very dark people. They look black in almost all of their depictions. They obviously, you have what's it called? It's in Persia. I don't know if it's a wall in Persia or something. I can't remember the exact source, but there are many depictions of the Elamites, and they were a black people. So if we have evidence of the Elamites, and we have evidence, we even have sources from scholars obviously saying that the Elamites and the Sassanians have dolichocephalic skulls that they found and stuff like this, and they believe that they relate very closely to the Hamites and the Cushites. So if we know that the Elamites were a black people, that by implication would make the brothers of Elam black, which would make Ashur, who's would make Aram black as well, because you're talking about the Syrians, and Aram in the Bible is translate from the Hebrew term Syria. Sorry, Aram is Syria in the Bible. So that by implication, that would also make the progenitor of the Syrians and stuff like that a black people, if you understand what I'm saying.
I'm just going to put my quick rule on top of this, yeah, just to make this really simple so you guys know where I stand. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go back further than 2,500 years. Everyone's black. That's my rule.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to pass on to you now. It works. It seems to work every time. Yeah. That's my point of view. Go back over 2,500 years and everyone's black. So you're just talking about what kind of black were they? What shade of black? But everyone's black.
I mean, think about it, right? Really. If Cush is black, like I'm just gonna walk through it logically, like we're using the Bible. If Cush is black, if we know that the Cushites are black and Cush is the progenitor of the Cushites, that would make Cush black, right? Which would make Ham black, which would make his the brothers of Ham, Shem, and Japheth black as well. Because how would you have a black son and the other two sons aren't black? Which would make Ham, Shem, and Japheth black as well. So even biblically, the progenitor of the Semitic people would be a black man. Does that make sense? Chematology.
No, because I don't take the Bible, as an authority.
Oh, okay. I thought we were just talking from a biblical, a viewpoint.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, like, how do you explain that Nimrod, the grandson of Noah, had built a civilization? With which people did he build a civilization?
Okay. This is going to be very controversial.
I mean, there were not a lot of people left. So how can he build this big tower reaching heaven?
Well, I mean, we have to think about it. Why would Cush, Nimrod, who is the son of Cush, go all the way to the Middle East to build Babylon?
No. I'm not even saying to go. I don't even say about it. I mean, how could Nimrod, the grandson of Noah, all the people were wiped out and they just started to have children. How could he have built a civilization, right? And how could he even build a tower with, I don't know how much of people left even to reach heaven? Like, it doesn't make sense.
On that note, I'm just going to hit you with some humor now. Yeah, I think it's time to see this one again for the new starters. Oh, where's the sound?
No.
Let's bring it back. If you're here at the start of the stream, you've already seen this one.
Color, right? Shall I send a pillar of fire, my lord? No, not yet. They don't even have Google yet. So who doesn't have Google yet? My lord, the humans seem to have created a depiction. Michael. Yeah, let me. Hey, son. Remember the humans? You mean the ones I literally died for like a week ago? Yeah. Same batch. But it's been a few hundred years, their time. And remember how forgetful they are. That we were like, follow these commandments, and they were like, no, but give us bread and unlimited women. And we were like, no, you rascals. And then they made a golden cow, and you were going to destroy them all. Yeah. But I didn't. You remember? I had compassion and understanding. Things like that. Dad, where are you going with this? So they drew you a picture. Oh, they did. That's pretty cool. It's nice to be appreciated, And I think they did their best. Well, let me see. Okay. But no pillars of fire. Okay? Dad, that's your thing, not mine. Who is this white man? I'm sending another flood. No. Hey, we wouldn't do that. Then pillar of fire. What is this? Hey, no pillars of fire until Revelation, except mini ones in California until the 21st century. You know that. They didn't even get my color pattern right. It says what I look like in the book. Yeah, but that's in Revelation, and not many people make it to the end, to be honest. I thought you said it was the most popular book they had. Oh yeah, everyone has it, but they don't read it. Aren't you supposed to be the angry one? I mean, they didn't turn me into a white man. Yeah, I'm pulling up. No. You can't. See, this is what the enemy wants. He's trying to get under your skin. All right, fine. But when I hear that trumpet, I'm going off. Hey, you finna go crazy.
I just had to break for a bit of humor there. I love that skit.
You just don't have to wait to like Revelation to figure it out, though. That's what annoys me. It's like, you know, the Egyptians are black. So, and if Jesus and his family, well, what they call Jesus and his family, escaped into Egypt to hide from the Roman soldiers, and we know that Egypt was a predominantly black civilization, how would Jesus stand? Like, he didn't stand out. He blended in, right? That's where he went to escape. So just put it together. Like, it makes sense for him to be the same skin tone as the people he was hiding with, you know.
Exactly. You know, even there's a passage in the Bible in the Old Testament where it says, "Out of Egypt I called my son." So there you go.
There you go.
I'm going to move on that point. Sorry, I know we're having a good discussion there, but that was a nice little sidetrack. Abella Artisan just said there's a 1925 video footage showing native blacks in IS. ... You know what the name of that place is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. That one I found very harrowing.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I've got a similar video about Kemet in 1925. It's
Yeah,
quite
that
popular, if you've seen
Kemet video.
I didn't know this about that part of the world, and to see also the kind of people that were there as well. Once again, it was very, very like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was it kind of, it took me for a bit of a ride. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what is this? When, how and where did they go? It's just like we say all the time, isn't it? You know, this is why you can't take for granted who speaks a certain language, because, you know, I mean, those people were there. I'm sure they weren't all speaking Igbo or Yoruba. You know what I mean? I'm sure they were speaking the same tongue that they speak there now, but they ain't there anymore. So that's the yeah.
I feel like World War II had a lot to do with, you know, them people leaving that area.
Oh man, don't get me started, man.
Yeah.
We can't, don't do this, because this is supposed to be lighthearted. Yeah. I swear, if I start about World War II, don't get me. No, we can't do this. It will be up if we start talking about World War II.
King is gonna go full blown lecture on us.
No way.
What were they after?
Well, first of all, he told me over and over and over. When he first told me,
we done
Latoya.
Okay,
we did this already.
We've done this, yeah. That's another. See, I'm just taking doubles of the same clip. Go next one.
I don't write songs about cop killing.
But it did have the lyrics in
Don't 6
there.
of the songs on your album mention cop killing? No.
Oh, that's not true.
No. All my
is
songs
not
talk about
true.
police brutality and self-defense. Now that's something different.
If we're going to talk about police, this man over here is in a really rough area, and he puts his life on the line every day.
I got so much respect for him for that, but look, we have to live in the same neighborhoods without bulletproof vests, without backup, without walkie-talkies, without guns, without tear gas, without pepper spray, without batons. So now we have to fix the problem. These people don't see it every day.
No, but what I would like to see is for children in our country to have a better future than what you guys have. And that's not going to happen when he's repressing his generation and his people by saying they have no hope.
What do you know about my people?
I know a lot about your people.
What?
Do charity, give money, right to give away. Wow. You know about the young black man. Today's society. What would you say is the answer to that? Violence? No, it's making music. It's what I'm doing now. It sparks dialogue, and that's how laws get made. That's how change get made. I just said Tupac.
Yeah, you know, there's a reason I got Tupac as my logo. You know how many times people ask me to change Tupac? Brother, I get a really meaningful message from someone who's very well-meaning. They'll be like, brother, you need to change your logo. you need to change your logo, man. It doesn't make you look good or whatever. I'm like, I ain't changing my logo. Like, you do not understand. Yeah. No. I wouldn't. I'm not even considering it. So the logo's gonna stay for a good while. I'm just letting you all know that. Like, Tupac was a massive motivation for me in terms of who I. My logo is Tupac, by the way. I know people say my logo looks like Tupac. It is Tupac. I just put a crown on his head because, this is, to me, this is what typified what we should be doing looks like. I'm not talking about people being perfect. Yeah. I'm not talking about people. This is what I like about Tupac. He wasn't perfect. Yeah. He wasn't a preacher. He was just who he was, but he knew that he had a job to do. You feel me? He knew that he had a job to do, and he did it as best as he could. And he knew how to execute it as well. He knew how to put on the different faces that he needed to wear to infiltrate the different areas he needed to make as much impact and as much progress as he could. And that to me is very inspiring, because I feel like that's what I try and do.
Me, King, people try like with you saying that people want you to change your logo, right? What really annoys me is that people think that you can't be an academic and be like, you know, like in tune with, like, I don't want to say your black side, but like with black culture and with like hip hop, with like they think like these are two mutually exclusive things. Like you can't be an academic and you can't be listening to like someone like Tupac at the same time. Like no, you can embrace both. Like that's who we are. That's who we are as a people. We're an artistic people. We're an academic people. We can embrace all of the stuff at the same time. So don't change the logo, bro. Do not change that logo.
It's the black polymath. You know, this is what I always say. This, you see black intellectuals. Have you noticed they always have to be polymaths? I always mention this.
Oh yeah.
You can't, as a black man. Yeah, as a black historian or any black person who's got to have impact, you have to be a polymath. You can't just be good at one thing. You know, 100%. You have to be a polymath. You have to be able to look at Obenga, look at Diop, look at all of these, look at Tupac. You know, he's a rapper, but he's in there doing talk shows and just destroying people around him. Yeah, actor. Yeah. You have to be a polymath. It's kind of like that's what you got to be. You know, and yeah, this is why I respect him. And remember, this is a young man. I think he died at age 25 or something, 26. Can't remember.
26, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, 26 he died, you know. I remember to this day the day he died. I was very, very sad. But yeah, this is what he had to be. You know what I mean? So that's just, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I threw this one in here because, yeah, you know, it's Tupac.
Of course.
And you know what, King? And you know, when the lady was talking, like, I know your people. It just like at that moment, it just like fried my brain. Honestly,
the caucasity. That's
exactly the caucasity. It's like the audacity. Like she's living a privileged life and like living in the suburbs with her family, and she's questioning Tupac, who knew, like, he's the son of a Black Panther. He was born in jail, you know, and like she never took a thought about that like the struggles like our people go through, and like the police guy showing up. And I like this about Tupac when he said this, like Tupac like respected the police officer, but he said we have to keep it real, you know. So like he has to keep it real, and that's why like I said earlier with Ice Cube early in the gangster stuff, is that they were calling out the police brutality, but sadly it flipped on its own head, and so it's just utter madness. And also, King, you mentioned I remember on Sunday I saw your Dricus Duplessis video again. I love that video.
Man. Yeah,
I love that video, and how you were going on that rant, and how you were saying that you lived a privileged lifestyle in South Africa, and that's true in the States, in Canada too. So yeah, we have to keep it real.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about Tupac all day, so I'm going to move on now, because otherwise this has become a Tupac appreciation.
R.I.P. Tupac, man.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, young king, innit?
For real.
Class last night. They're ours. They belong to us. They're ancient, these buildings. There's a whole city underneath this city. They went and burned all the major cities, the major energy centers. Our ancestors set up these energy centers that we call Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Atlanta, Detroit, right? Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles. They are energy centers. They're not where they are in huge, large cities just because of some coincidence. There's energy and power in these places. London, Rio de Janeiro. Are these buildings all around here?
So this one's gonna go a bit deep, but without going too much into linking one thing to the other, how many of you guys are aware of that kind of, I want to say, for want of a better word, that old world conspiracy?
Oh yeah, 100%.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm very aware of that stuff.
Okay, so there's a lot of evidence, yeah, in fact beyond a lot of evidence, it's essentially been proven that America was, and other parts of the world, by the way, and that's where I was kind of like linking to. I was talking about being in Rome and seeing certain things and it triggering certain things in me. But you have this particular style of architecture that seems to be relatively global and old, predating the expansion of modern Europeans into what they call the New World. So these old buildings, which they then inherited, either destroyed or pretended was their own. And the interesting thing about this theory, you hear it called different things, like people call it the Tartarian conspiracy or this, that, and the other. I touched on it very briefly in my video about the Moors, the live stream about the Moors, if you've seen that. But the interesting thing about this is that all sides of the fence are looking at this. So this is not a racial thing. This is not, oh, I'm black, I'm going to look into this. This is everyone's looking into this, and everyone's kind of like agreeing that there's something wrong with the narrative that we've been fed. There's something wrong with the mainstream narrative about what they said the world was, because according to mainstream narrative, you went to America and it was all teepees. Yeah. Right. But according to the information that we have recorded, I could actually show you one that got posted up literally today, and it shows Mexico, what Mexico looked like. I think it was like 200 years ago. Okay. And this is really when Mexico had very light colonization, you know, hadn't really been touched. Yeah. But 200 years ago, and it looks like a European city. It looks way more advanced than it looks like now. It has like a Colosseum and all these things that you do not hear spoken about. So the question is, like, what is going on? Obviously, I have my theory, but I try not to give people too much info without giving them a foundation. That's why I'm going to kind of leave it there. What do you guys think? Where are you at with this?
Well, I think it links in with you know, the end of the Dark Ages. Obviously, we know what the Dark Ages mean. I believe obviously the Moors conquered Europe, and I don't think they just stayed in Europe. I think they did make their way into the Americas and such, and they developed that place as well. And you know, I don't believe that Christopher Columbus was the man who discovered America. No, not at all. You know, obviously a lot with this Tartaria stuff, it's weird because you have if you look into these buildings and you look into a lot of these massive buildings that look old, there are a lot of fires that happen. These buildings are suddenly founded in certain times, and there were fires that happened around these areas. You also have the world fairs that happen. You also have these orphan trains that happen. You also have these cabbage patch kids, like these postcards of kids being born from cabbage patch what's called cabbage patches and stuff like that. You have these orphan trains, you have insane asylums that were being created and then suddenly destroyed. You have all like it's a massive rabbit hole when you go through this. Like there's a greater conspiracy, obviously. I mean, I don't want to talk, obviously I don't want to get your channel in trouble or anything, but I definitely
it's fine. Go ahead, man. Listen, there's a grand unifying theory. Yeah. I can't wait to be able to start to break some of this down for the community.
Bro, I can't wait to like, bro. I know you're holding some sauce, bro. I know you have some.
It's what I was trying to drop little hints on my Discord, and people weren't getting. Was you there, Yard?
I was there, bro. Yeah. You kept teasing, bro. I was losing my mind.
And you weren't getting. I was trying to leave little hints, and you weren't getting.
Bro, I was like, so bro, tell me, and you're like, nah, I'm just gonna leave it here, bro. I'm gonna leave it. Oh my days, man.
But one of the things I was expressing, actually, I'll say this part is that a lot of architecture that people think is really old in London, for instance, and in the UK in general, people think we have these really grand buildings like British Museum, Trafalgar Square, Buckingham Palace. Most people think those buildings are like hundreds and hundreds of years old. All of those buildings appeared in the 19th century.
Right.
Every single last one of them just appeared out of nowhere. And we're talking about structures that are, if you don't know what any of those buildings look like, you need to Google what these buildings look like. They're not stuff that you make on a whim. And they're also not buildings that we've made since. So they appeared all of a sudden in the 19th century. We'd never made stuff like that before, and we can't make stuff like that anymore. Literally, they couldn't make these buildings. So how did it happen is the question. Why did they just suddenly appear out of nowhere? Where did these buildings come from?
I think even the Great Fire of London, you know, the 1666, like I feel like that has to link in with all of this stuff as well, because it happens in America as well. There are a bunch of great fires everywhere. Great Fire of Chicago, Great Fire of Philadelphia. Like you see, you go into you go into these buildings, right? You go on the Wikipedia pages of these buildings, and you say that these buildings were destroyed by a fire and then suddenly reconstructed. And it's the same story for all of these buildings. It's the same thing being repeated again.
Stone
and again.
buildings destroyed by fire.
Yeah,
it's interesting that
very
stone buildings destroyed by fire. Do you know every major library around the world had a major fire? I think within like a 60-year period.
That's insane.
Every single major library around the world had a major fire within a 60-year period. Yeah. Very, very, and it was very, very ironically, very, very soon after the invention of racism. I thought I'd just throw that out there. Okay.
I guess this can sound controversial, but I think we may all agree here those fires were probably deliberate because, as you said, King, after like the invention of racism, they were realizing, oh snap, these buildings are created by the black folk. So quick, let's destroy them and let's create something new.
Yeah, it's wild. Let's put it that way. It's wild, and it's weird because it goes. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Let's move on.
I know.
Let's move on because this one's so wild and it's so deep that you don't want to say something and then leave people with, because one thing will require you to then talk about something else, which will take hours, and talk about something else. So then, and then you just end up sounding a bit crazy. So we had a little look at that one. I don't expect anyone to be convinced by a single discussion or video, but I hope it's dropped a little seed there. What is the time? It's 11:39 here. It's late. I think this might be our last one, guys. So let's fingers crossed it's a good one. I think I'll do a part. What do we think of this format? I know it's a big thing. I won't do it often, but it's a little laid back, chilled, going through Instagrams. Is this cool? Is this all right? How do we feel about this?
This is great, honestly. Like,
this is great.
Do this more, like, random clips about information and then having the chat discuss it as well. Like, it's very interactive. I like this a lot. It's a good format.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I like the fact that you like it because it's easy for me to do. And those times when I haven't had a chance to really prepare a proper, like, in-depth live stream, we could definitely just jump on one of these and just open up the panel. I've had a great panel today, by the way. Thank you guys for staying on. You've all given so much knowledge and good conversation. So I appreciate you all, man.
Thank you for the stream. Honestly, thank you for this.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
And I thought, this is actually true. The drink was popular in Nigeria, Mali, and all throughout North Africa, and it was known as kunuaya. It was introduced to Mexico because of Spanish and Portuguese traders. But it's not just horchata that's quintessentially African in Latin America. Tamarind, that's used in tamarindo, in popular drinks throughout South America and the Caribbean, comes from the tamarind plant that's native to West Africa. Jamaica, that's used in agua de Jamaica, is also from a plant that's native to West Africa. Dominican mango, Puerto Rican mofongo are all derivatives of the word mangusi, which is a Congolese word which means to mash, which is exactly what's being done in the preparation of this food. The concept of sancocho, taking meats from several different animals and stewing them and adding a thickener along with vegetables, was first discovered on islands off the coast of West Africa. This dish is now one of the most popular dishes in Colombia, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. The idea of using plantains as a starch to make food like pasteles goes back to the African tradition of using them for the same thing, along with cassava and yuca. People would like to have us think that we're so far removed from our African roots, but we're really not.
So I woke up this morning and I saw this tweet. And I thought, yeah, this is actually true.
Okay. So I know why I included this one. Well, what are your thoughts, guys?
I want to first say is like, as someone who's from Jamaica, whose family is from Jamaica and Guyana, this is 100% true. And I'm actually going to pursue a career in this, actually learning about the diaspora. And I see, and the brother is right. I know this guy. I've seen his content. I love his content. He's not wrong, and how we're all connected to these foods and how African they are. Like, a lot of people think, some people in the diaspora think that these foods are originally from the Americas and there's no connection to Africa whatsoever. But that's not true at all. Like, the names itself is like explicitly African, even in like Mexican food as well. Like, there are certain names that and the way how it's prepared, I'm like, this reminds me of like Jamaica and like how people in the Caribbean do it. So it's no coincidence at all.
That's interesting. All right, so let me ask another question to the panel. So someone else wanted to say something there.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, it makes sense, 100% sense. We were taken from the west coast of Africa mainly, Angola, South Saint Thomas, Sao Tome, Angola, what's it called, the Niger region, places like that. And it's just, the Caribbean islands were just another stop away from America and other places, So obviously there's a massive black influence in places like Cuba, in places like Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil. I mean, it's undeniable. You go into the communities, you even look at the Afro indigenous people there. There are people who have like Yoruba culture all the way out in Cuba, all the way out in Brazil. They don't even like to like shy away from it. They admit it. They'll admit it straight to your face that like, we come from the slaves that were taken from the West Coast and such and stuff. So yeah, it makes there is no doubt in that. Obviously, there's a lot of African influence in the Caribbean culture. So yeah.
Okay, so let me ask another question now, yeah? And this is just to do a bit of a census across this panel that I have up at the moment. How many of you believe the African presence in South America is pre-Columbine?
I believe it. It's there's evidence for that, It's like, even Columbus admitted it in his journals.
Yeah. Go on, expand.
Yeah, so like, and like he admitted, like, I think he said in his journals is that we would have been lost if, to paraphrase, he said without the Africans we'll have been lost. Basically, to sum it up, and and the Olmec heads, it's that one's obviously, and the pyramids of Mexico. So like we were there, and I heard this too, is that. And this talks about ancient Egyptians. This connects to Egypt. How there was like a type of cocaine in these mummies that were native to the Americas. Like narcotic cocaine. I heard about that. I gotta look more into that. And also there was like pots, like ancient pottery that were made in the Americas depicting African animals, not native to the Americas at all. So. Like elephants and giraffes and stuff like that. So yeah, I believe it's there. It's no doubt.
There's even evidence of what's called early Egyptian and Phoenician explorers that went to places like South America and Central America. I'm pretty sure there are
and Mandinka. Don't leave out Mandinka. People always leave out Mandinka in this story. So I've got to throw that out there.
Apologies. Yeah. The Mandinka, the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, these were very early world travelers. They had access to massive boats. They were going across the Atlantic. They were going across to these places, and they were settling in these places. So obviously, you even look at what's it called, the Olmecs? You know, I think you've seen them. Obviously, the Olmecs, they have a very Negro look to them. These statues and such. There are obviously indigenous Negro populations in places like the Caribbean, South America, Central America. So I mean, I think before Columbus even came to, you know, South America, the Americas in general, there was obviously an indigenous melanated population.
That's really good point. You know what I find quite interesting, and I'm just gonna throw this out there as a bit of an anecdote for something that I observed when I started on this whole historical journey. Yeah, I could only see black people in the Olmec heads. Yeah, and it took me a long time of just observing my own face and the face of people around me to start to realize that actually I can now see melanated people, black people, myself much more in different artifacts. And actually the Olmec ones is just like the really kind of like, I don't even think I look too much like the Olmecs now. That's the wild thing, isn't it? Because like starting the journey, it was like Olmecs, yeah, they're definitely black, because we have this really extreme view of what black is. It has to be a really broad nose and really big lips. It has to be the literal opposite of a Caucasian. And I think that's why the Olmec heads resonated across most people. But then I started looking around, looking at my family, looking at different people that I know. I'm like, actually, not many of us actually look like that. Do you understand what I mean? A lot of us just look like this pharaoh, for instance. Do you understand what I mean? Or this statue, which for some weird reason we're not identifying with, because we've told ourselves something about, you know, we've bought into something about that lie about what we all look like back then.
You make a great point.
Separated it from what we all look like now for some weird reason.
Sorry,
go on.
Because I mean, yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, we're used to really associating ourselves with like the stereotypically Negro features, like having a wide nose, you know, broad, big lips, stuff like that. Like, people don't really know this, but like Africa is one of the most genetically diverse places on planet Earth. So like, you know, obviously, as you were saying, like, there are pharaoh heads that may look, you know, that don't look anywhere near like the Olmecs, but they are still obviously Negro people. They obviously, you know, they're melanated people. So I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, like with the Olmecs things, I guess it's because like most black people obviously still have that self-betrayal of like, okay, to be black, you have to have these wide nose, you have to have this big lips, you have to have these you know, broad eyes, stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, I see you make a very good point in regards to that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I just found that quite interesting. I think there's one more person who wants to join. Sunchild, I'm gonna add you to the stage. You can take your camera off, by the way. You don't have to keep it on. How you doing, sir?
Peace, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, I was intrigued by the conversation. I've been listening for a while, and you've changed topics quite frequently. But I was intrigued. You said you were a Christian. I was just wondering how long you've not been a Christian. I'm in the same boat. I used to be a Christian as well up until about 4 years ago. I ran into some new information which kind of startled me, and I've been on a Sankofa journey ever since. Now, you don't have to get into your story if you don't want to, but
no, that's fine.
I wanted to, since you are an adept in Egyptian history, I wanted to ask, are you familiar with the similarities with the story of Akhenaten and the story of Jesus?
In some ways, yes. I thought you were gonna say Akhenaten and Moses there, but I would like to
Well,
hear. Yeah, go on.
yeah,
Please expand.
yeah. I'm familiar with the Akhenaten and Joseph since and Moses since Freud wrote an entire book on it. But in my studies, serendipitously, I have come on to some very striking similarities with Akhenaten, the story of Akhenaten and the story of Jesus. I'm sure you're familiar with Brother Jabari and the Trinity being taken from ancient Egypt with Osiris, Isis, and so on. But I found what I think to be a more striking similarity with the story of Akhenaten. If you're familiar with the Akhenaten story. Now, if you remember, Akhenaten worshipped the Aton, and he considered himself the son of Aton. So there you have the father and the son story. Now, the spirit of Aton, if you're familiar, would be the rays of the sun, where we're called the spirit of Aton. And in that trinity there, you have the Father, Aton, the Son, Akhenaten, and the Spirit, the rays of Aton. And also, you would find strikingly, I believe, if I'm correct in translation, brother, Ak and Aton means the spirit of Aton as well. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna guess there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure either, but if so, then you will also see that there is a not just a triune God, but a Trinity that is three in one. All three are one. And that's a similarity where you'll find a lot of similarities with Christianity, but they're only triune gods and not necessarily a Trinity. And there's a difference between a triune God and a Trinity. But Akhenaten is the spirit of Aton, the sun rays as the spirit of Aton, and Akhenaten, as far as the pharaohs are concerned, when Akhenaten dies, he returns to Aton, and he becomes one with Aton. If there's anything that you disagree, you can stop me at any time.
I don't think I.
But I wanted to add this. I hope I'm not digressing from the conversation too much. But also, there's also another similarity. So we see a similarity a striking similarity in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit directly, where we don't see with Osiris, Isis, and Horus. But in Akhenaten, you see a Father, a Son, and the Holy Spirit. That is Aton, Akhenaten, and the rays of the sun. And also, there's another striking similarity in the fact, again, that it is a trinity and not just a triune God, but specifically a trinity. There's also another striking similarity with Akhenaten, being that Akhenaten ended the priesthood in Egypt. And in the same way, Jesus ended the Jewish priesthood, and he himself took the role of God. And in Akhenaten, you find that the people had to worship the Aton through Akhenaten. And he was an intercessory between the god Aton and the people. And so the people did not have a direct access to the god. And in this, he himself became a god, and another striking similarity with Christianity and the Jesus story. And there's also a striking similarity with the idea that he ended the Jewish priesthood, and Akhenaten ended the Kemetic priesthood. And the Kemetics are the ones who were enemies to Akhenaten and sought to kill him in the same sense as the Jewish priesthood sought to kill Jesus.
A son child.
Right. Yeah.
Just to step in, you talk about the Trinity being a Christian what's it called, concept, and that is exactly what it is. It's a Christian concept. It doesn't come directly from the Bible itself. There is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but that is not described as a Trinity at all in the Bible. That comes from what's it called, later tradition from the Roman Catholic Church. So I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah. Comes from the Black Madonna, doesn't it? The idea of a Trinity.
Indeed, yes. Indeed, and I will take that. But
I think, can I just say very quickly? I think the some of these comparisons you made are quite striking. It's not a concept I've heard before, but yeah, I'm not against it. It kind of makes sense from what you've said so far.
Yeah,
I think everything borrows from everything, you know, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But yeah, carry on.
And another striking similarity I found is the idea of the empty tomb of Jesus. There's also an empty tomb of Akhenaten, unless you can correct me on that. I'm not sure if Akhenaten's tomb has been found or his
Well, I think
sarcophagus.
KV55 is Akhenaten. That's based
Well,
on
you
my.
think it is, or has it
Yeah.
been confirmed?
No, it won't be confirmed because it can't be confirmed because it doesn't have any cartouches. They've all been scraped off. But I did that based on a anthropological comparison with the skull and his portraits, and there's a lot of similarity. And then there's obviously there's the genetic evidence linking them. Now the only thing that could the other thing that could be true is that KV55 could just be a brother or another sibling or another close family member of Tutankhamun and Amenhotep III. That's very possible as well. So it might not be him. And obviously, if it's a brother, it would look very similar and might have very similar skull dimensions. So I'm not gonna hang my hat on that, but my current theory is that it is him. But I'm happy to be corrected. I can't say that I'm right.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
Horemheb who tried to erase him from history. But about this Akhenaten stuff, I also know that Akhenaten, he wrote a poem to Aten, which has striking similarities with a psalm of King David.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
Well, look, guys, it's just hit midnight. Sunchard, I really appreciate that input. I thought it was very interesting. I think it's probably a good note for us to close the live stream because it's really late here. Started late, but I think everyone enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for one, that's for sure. So thank you, panel.
Thank you,
first
brother.
of all.
Thank you, brother Kings Monologue. I'm a fan of yours. I really didn't want to come on because I think you're on another level. But I said, you know what? Go ahead, say hi to Kings Monologue. So keep up the good work, brother. I am a fan, and blessings to you.
I appreciate it. And you are certainly on a level, my friend. I appreciate everything that you just taught us there. That was very interesting. And thank you to everyone else who's on the panel. Chematology, Yars, Very Real, RJ McKenzie, you guys absolutely smashed it today. Yeah, a lot of fun. It got heavy at points, but it was mostly light watching. So thank you everyone who's on the stream. A couple of days before Christmas. I think I have to say, have great holidays, everybody who's on the stream, and hope you have a fantastic time with your family. So let me hand over to the panel.
But
Bro,
King,
thank you so much. Oh, go ahead, Chematologist, my bad.
yeah, I have a question. Is the Discord group private or something?
It's not. Wesker, sorry, I know you just jumped in. Could you drop a link to the Discord in the chat, please? And I'll pin it. Let me unpin this. So if any of the admins, Jonathan, you're there as well. Could either of you if you could drop a link to the Discord, I'll pin it to the top.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you so much, King, for this live stream, obviously, for opening the panel and letting us join, bro. I appreciate this so much. And obviously, I've said this before to you, but I genuinely believe that you're kicking down the door a lot on this, the Kemet stuff. Like, you know, obviously, we know the truth, but people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to you know, admit the truth, and you're on the front lines doing this. So I like, honestly, I commend you so much for what you do. And honestly, bro, I think we should speak more, because like I have a lot of things that you may be interested in, and obviously your content is amazing, bro. Like I commend you on so much that you're doing. Like I'm a big fan, so I appreciate you for everything you've done so far, bro. Keep on going.
Thank you, man, and I appreciate you for joining. And yeah, like, you know, I'm very reachable on the Discord, so just shout me whenever. I appreciate all of you. Censored, I will be checking out everything that you've sent. Don't worry, I know if I haven't done already. Jonathan has dropped a link to the Discord, which I'm going to pin to the top right now. So let me just will it let me pin message? There we go. So I've pinned that to the top of the chat. Thank you, London MMC. He said, thanks everyone, King and all the other curious minds here, eager and open to learn. It was, that was fun. Thank you all. Have a fantastic holidays. Thank you for joining me, and appreciate you all. Lots of love and respect to the families, and I will see you on the next one.
Yeah, it was fun, guys. You know, it was fun. You know, shout out to you, King. Thank you for the panel. Thank you for the videos. It was funny and deep at the same time, and you know, and I'm inspired. I'm inspired by everyone here. So shout out to all of y'all.
Shout out you guys, man. Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Shout out, big up everyone. Take care. I'm gonna close out now. Thank you. Thank you everyone who made the donation, by the way. Appreciate
it was a laser.
Don't mess with it, Gregory. That's the one takeaway, that we've all learned. Don't play with the elders.
All right, bro. Shout you, man.
All right, that's all, man. Peace. Bye, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.